Greetings, everyone. Welcome. Just give me 1 or 2 minutes. I'm just admitting more people. Okay, there is someone in the room, Vivo. Can you just tell me who's Vivo? And just rename your profile, please. Your phone name is being shown here. If you can just rename it. Yeah, I would just like to know who is Vivo. That's why I asked you to start your video. Okay, it is you, Vijay. Okay. Okay. I'll rename you. Okay, that's fine. So I think, yeah, all the members are here and you can see everybody's name clear. That's fine. So okay, simultaneously I'm just the making a link for. Okay, my video is not on. Pranams to all of you. Simultaneously I'm just making a video. I mean the live to a couple of our friends who is in the distant worlds. So I'm glad to see all of you from different countries. All are here making time for yourself and spirituality. But today is a very relaxed session. We have had a tiresome week. I know. I'm sorry for bothering everybody so much because everybody got exhausted. Almost like we had intense work going on for 1 week, and it's like not a joke because 3-4 hours every day almost people are sitting, and then on webinar we were like close to 7 hours. So that's very intense work. But it's nice. It's nice. But then I see it's very exhaustive for some. Some took leave, like my friend in Dubai also, he took leave and he was watching it. And today is flat, so he was like literally for this session. I'll see it some other time. I'm literally flat, and I got news from some others also are flattened out because of the processes and feeling very tired after those events. After a lot of release happened yesterday, there were many in that form. So it's all good. I'm happy that things are happening. I'm going a little fast, I believe. So I then said, okay, I'll slow down with all this too much of activities. I said, okay, I'll reduce these activities because it might get too overwhelming for some of you. So even this one which is there, it's a continuation. Now 2 more programs are there on this Sunday. Somehow, okay, let's complete that. Now I'll complete my duty. Then I'm going towards Tiruvannamalai. We have 2 batches, and I think June will just reduce, simmer down a little bit, so that you can actually digest these things. Because these things are so powerful, I'm telling you. And if your receptive power is good, you can, like, all things you can just devour. If it is not, and if there is too much of things inside, then there will be a lot of overwhelming kind of a thing. So it's good because the faster we do it, the easier it can be. So it's not like we're desperately doing it, but we have opportunity, we have the divine grace flowing, and that's how we are here for today's session on Laleshwari. I've always been excited to talk about Laleshwari because I have been very heavily influenced by her life, and I wouldn't say that she was a saint. She is still present. That's how people in the Guru Mandala are. She's definitely one among my Guru Mandala. So that's how they guide, that's how they help, they give directions, and all that I ask, all that I would advise or suggest to seekers, sincere seekers on the path, is to be to have that intense seeking, and things will happen. You don't have to actually worry who will do it, how will do it, and I don't see anything in front of me, or I do not have a resource, or I do not have a grip on something, or who will guide me, who will teach me, where will I go, what will I do, my clutter is there, so many things are there, and blah 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 blah, all that. You don't have to go in that zone. All that you need to have is intense seeking towards the ultimate. I'm telling you, if you keep your goal eye towards the ultimate truth, there are a lot of activities that happen at that zone. I mean, those who are in that kind of frequency, I mean to say the astral realms, not the physical, the subtle, which you can't see. So all those who are operating on those levels are also eagerly waiting, because who wouldn't want it? That's the whole hierarchy system that goes on in the subtle hierarchy also. And if they have liberated, they are certainly not selfish enough. There are all these beings who are all around, all the time, omnipresent, and in that state where they can literally get back or assist humanity or whoever the other lost souls. It's like they are there for them. So that kind of a support is always there. So one need not worry as far as one's uh, quest is very deep. So that's where it all comes from. So all that you need to do is keep the quest very deep, and the rest of the things will just happen. So just a moment. Just okay. Laleshwari was is someone who I have always been very eager to talk about. But I didn't know, I didn't have an opportunity. I was thinking, okay, well, let's do it. Let's do it. Months passed. And whenever I get an opportunity during the live or some seminars or something, I definitely talk about her. I have on and often talked about, and many of you who have been regularly following these platforms might have just seen it and heard about her, known about her. But she's beyond what we can even say. She's not even a saint. If you say an avduta, she is even beyond that state. She is very godly, and she reached those realms of her life, the peak of her spirituality, while she was in the body. This is all about the 14th century. So from there she came down and she lived a gross life, and a lot of things happened, and it has been recorded and all that. And then when she left also, she left with the knowing that she'll be around. So she is somebody who will definitely assist, who is certainly assisting mankind in various ways. So before we begin with her session on her, I'd just like to pray. Purnamidam. One second. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purna Purnamudayachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Just become aware of your body and your surrounding. Just be conscious, that's all. Be aware of more than the grossness. We have been doing this almost a week practice now, so it should be very easy for you to move into that zone of divine presence. Those who are new here can just become aware of all the surroundings with your eyes open or without your eyes open. Just become aware of the room that you're sitting in. Just become aware of your body. Become aware of the clothes that is touching your body. Become aware of the chair that you're sitting. Become aware of the air, the space that is touching your skin. Become aware of the room you're sitting in. Gurudeva Sharanam, Guru Mandala Sharanam. Become aware of your room. Become aware of the Akash Tattva, the space in your room, which is nothing but Akash Tattva, a part of the Chidakasha. Become aware of the room. Outside the room, the whole air, the space, inside your house, outside your house, it's all one space. The whole space is connecting your body, your skin. The whole of the Guru Mandala, the Gurudev, Guru Tattva, everything is in the Akash Tattva. You connect to the Akash Tattva, you're connecting to the Chidakash. You are connecting to the Shiva consciousness itself. Everything comes out of this Mahashunya. There's nothingness, this Akash Tattva. Everything comes from here and everything goes back here. Become aware of the space that you come from and where you will return. All the intense seekers towards the path of liberation always are connected to the highest tattvas. This is what we learned from all the past programs in Upadeshasaram, Kala Jnana, expounded by the Nirguna Nirakara, Shiva consciousness through the Saguna Rupa, where it's expounded that everything in this higher realm is supportless, where Shiva urges the aspirants to embrace Nirlambha Yoga, the yoga without any kind of support or props. Completely suspended yoga, that is, where there is no doing but only being. You just depend on this Chidakasha, the Mahakasha, the Shiva consciousness. That's Nirlambha Yoga. Nothing else to be done. The final Upadesh given by Lord Shiva to Ma Parvati. Become aware of the supreme consciousness. This is where you come from. This is where you go. In between, what happens is all your drama. The outcome of karmas and the play of consciousness. Samsara, a temporary rented space that you've taken up, that you need to leave one day. All the pain and suffering comes from feeling that you belong here. You do not belong here. Life keeps pointing and reminding this to us that you don't remain here. Become aware of all the divine presences. Become aware of the Guru Tattva. The Guru is never outside, it's within, it's in the space, it's the Chidakasha, outside, inside. Today we'll learn this with the divine grace of Ma Laleshwari and her life, her mysteries, her teachings, that what we have been speaking here for past 1-2 years is exactly what she taught. This will build up our conviction of the higher truths and the deeper truths of the path. Stay in awareness. Because these kind of satsangs are not just storytelling business. It's much more than that. It's the language of all consciousness. It's not the gross work. So the more you are in awareness, the more you can catch the tattva, the element, the essence of the whole thing. It is not about any messengers. In spirituality, please understand, it is not about a single messenger. There might be thousands of messengers that might come and go. It's all about the message. If you look very deep into spirituality, the only message is that catch the message, leave the messenger. But due to the effect of our moha, attachments and all those things, all the senses, we are interested more in the messenger or disinterested in the messenger, all that we have to do is with the messenger. That is because we are gross. If we learn to catch the message and not the messenger, you will quickly grasp what is supposed to come to you. I'm sharing all these kind of experiences so that we have conviction, and I'm speaking from my own conviction. These things, what I share, is not from any books, but it's my own experiences from where I get all these convictions. So I'll just brief you about the whole thing and then we'll straight go to Mars message and her life and understanding her life. Because beings, enlightened beings like Mother Laleshwari, she's known as Yogini Lal or Lalla, or even known as Ma Laleshwari, or Lalla Arifa also, because she was very popular among the Sufis. Lal Ded, Lal Ded means mother in Kashmir. And her life began at a very young age, from where it has been all recorded about her. The best part is that, which you never get to hear very commonly, is that she was a female saint. Because even here in spirituality, it's a male dominated place. You can maximum hear about yogis and saints and avdutas, enlightened beings, mystics, fakirs, peers, Digambars. If you look at maximum of them, all the mystics there, all the seers, you'll see they are male. Very few you'll get females. But somebody who has reached to the state of Ma Yogini, Ma Lalleshwari, is something beyond our understanding. It's unfathomable, because that state that she reached was even beyond what most have achieved. She is very famous in Kashmir. She's very, very famous in Kashmir, and everybody knows her in Kashmir. In fact, they literally worship her in Kashmir. So she was born in somewhere near Srinagar. I'll tell you how I came across, because the whole thing unwinded. It is very shocking surprise to me, because I never thought about all these things, and only today when I look back, I can see this journey. I can see how the profound connectivity is there. From this, I understand if you walk the path in a certain way, certain things happen to you which might not be in your logic understanding what's happening. But over a period of time, things just fall in place. And then only you can see the divine grace, the divine will, the divine beings at play, or the larger picture. And most of the time, what happens to us in the background, we are not aware. We are not aware because we are not aware. So awareness came to me very late in the whole spiritual journey. And only when I became aware, I could understand, and I'm conscious about, okay, this is how it is. And that's what I share. So it all happened when I was too desperate in my journey, intensely seeking some things which I was not getting in this world. So I was desperately seeking it everywhere. And I was even there were many spiritual practices, many books, many spiritual friends, guides, and all those people are there. Everything is there all around the world. I had friends, my Reiki friends, and those days I used to do all that, very spiritual friends and all that. But that intense seeking, what I'm looking beyond that, it's not getting. So that continued deepening so much. Then I came across Bhagwan Nityananda. My journey whole changed. I was a profound Christian guy, following, loving only Jesus Christ, and then suddenly everything changes. And then it just explodes into everything and anything, and the barriers just go away. It just goes away. And I don't know how. I have no explanation to that. I just see that I cannot see any barriers. And any barrier I see, any fencing I see, it's like funny. And that's the time I even meet my guru, Avadut Shivanandji, which is again the blessings of Bhagwan Nityananda, because from Ganeshpuri I was sent to him. Because my intense seeking, my prayers to Bhagwan was that. So there, till the time I had to be trained in a certain way, I was there. And then when I had to move on to a certain, the divinity just played. I had no idea, no logic play or planning or something. Things were just happening. And even what I wanted never happened. What people around me wanted never happened. What had to happen only happened. That is from where I say everything is predestined. You cannot fight your prarabdha. You, how much ever you do, what has to take place will take place. This I've explained it very clearly, and it's very clearly explained in Upadeshasaram, the whole thing, which I on and often speak about. If you have not attended Upadeshasaram before, we have one in Hindi coming up, 2017, 18, 19, 20, 4 days, 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. at very negligible amounts, like $300 for 4 days or $15 for 4 days. So that's deliberately kept because we just want serious seekers coming in, and some commitment has to be there so that they don't take it for granted. So Upadesh Saram, when you go in, you'll understand the whole thing that I'm telling about, where it's coming. I'm not going anything today. So when those boundaries dissolved, I had no inhibitions that this is a fakir or this is a Digambar or this is an Avduta, this is a Hindu saint or that's a Jain saint or a Buddhist. It was just seeking the divinity within. Anybody with any kind of spark of divinity, I was just attracted to. And I used to just madly run behind all that. And I had no idea. So that's how I was there for a couple of years. My guru also. I learned a lot. And it's all his grace, his prayers, his blessing immensely helped me. Which worked a lot of things. It still works from within. It's all because the Guru's grace I've explained. It's all within. Today we'll see Ma Laleshwari talking about Guru's grace, how it is and what it is exactly. And then after that, seeking was not, it was there, that yearning was there. So I was seeking for a place to meditate. And that's how I ended up in Ganeshpuri. I thought, let me just spend 3 days in silence. Those days I used to not mingle with public. I used to not do any of these kind of events and all that. I was only in my world, even with my guru, meditating, doing my practices or traveling here and there and all those things. So when I went for 3 days in Ganeshpuri, there was big loudspeakers playing on and there was a lot of noise going on there. And I was very badly, thoroughly disappointed because now I came to do meditation here and what is this happening? So I was literally connected to Bhagwan Nityananda, and he knew that I had come there for that. He knew means not the personality, but you'll understand what I'm saying. So I was very disappointed and sitting in my room and lot of noise. I said, now 3 days, how am I going to have? And it's very far and I've taken off and come here. At that time, Swami Vijayananda had come to Ganeshpuri. He's from Nityananda Ashram, Belgaum. And we met. And then I told him, I'm disappointed, Swamiji. I'm here. He said, oh, you want to be here only? I said, what to do? I have no option but to. Then he said, why don't you do one thing? You come with me, I'll take you to an ashram. And I know them well. So I have some work with them, that Swamiji there. I will talk to him and then I'll push forward. I'm coming back to Mumbai again. So I am there for 2-3 days in Mumbai. So you can do your 2-3 days in Mumbai there. In Mumbra Ashram. It's a Mumbra Ashram in Mumbra, outskirts of Kalyan, I believe, Thane. So I said, okay, that's a great news. And then they He took me in his car, and that's a very remote place, ashram, and he took me to Shivam Tirth Maharaj's ashram, and that's in the outskirts of Mumbai. And he introduced me to the Swamiji there. He was Shivam Tirth Maharaj's immediate disciple. So he introduced me, and he said, "Let him be here. I know him, and let him be here for some time. Give him some permission." So the Guru said, "Okay, you can be here, but we have our own ways." He said, "There are certain rules that you got to follow here because the ashram is this way." I said, "Anything is fine for me. I just need some space to sit silently and do my practices." He said, "That you can do here. You'll find a lot of such place." Then he told me, "Only expect the apart from the cave, they have some cave there, and some work is going on, and some areas they said there nobody is allowed. Only our people who have taken diksha here, they are allowed, but you can be here." I said, "Thank you." And I started living in that ashram for, I think, 2 days I was there. Meanwhile, Swamiji had dropped and gone to another place. So I halted there at night, and I was meditating. Whatever I had to do, I did. And the final day, when I had to leave, I met Swamiji, thanked him, bowed at his feet, touched his feet, and because he was Shivam Tirth Maharaj's disciple, direct disciple, and that was Shivam Tirth Maharaj's ashram. Now, Shivam Tirth Maharaj, the Tirth lineage is a very big lineage, but it's a very silent lineage. There is no publicity about this lineage. And they're very, very serious aspirants in that. And they follow the Shaktipat Marga only. And they have certain kind of initiation that is done in their own lineage. And they usually entertain only their people. They don't allow anybody from outside. They're very particular about it. Now, because of Swamiji's help, I got an entry into that ashram, and they allowed me. And that's how I could stay in that ashram. So Shivam Tirth Maharaj was a great master. He passed away, I think, in the 90s or somewhere. His guru was Vishnu Tirth Maharaj, and he was a very profound guru and very, very powerful master, but very, very humble. He used to live on the banks of Rishikesh. If you go to the banks of Rishikesh now, also you'll find something called Muni Ki Reti. So that was the place that he used to live. And a very profound, I believe he was a professor, retired, and then he left everything, and then grahastha again. He after sometimes as per the proper ashram rules, brahmacharya, grahastha, vanaprastha, sannyasa. So the time he finished his grahastha, he left his family, left in the family in the sense, not abandoned them. They do it very, very consciously because everybody is aware of this journey. So he was staying in Rishikesh, and now also I've met many of the Tirth lineage Maharaj. I know them personally also. So many of them are grahasthas, but they stay away from the house. So they are in the ashrams or running ashrams or wherever. But they take care of everything. Their family comes and meet them in the ashram and all. But there is a sense of detachment. Okay, they have a great bonding, but they know the limitations, and that's something that I really appreciate. Because spirituality is beyond all that. Spirituality is beyond moha and attachment and bhoga and all these things. These things are there, but until you are immersed in that, you cannot be out of it. So it was very impressive. And Vijayanand Swami was very much connected with the Tirtha lineage because he was initiated by one of Shivam Tirth Maharaj's Shishya. So that is how this connection happened to him, Vijayanand Swami. And I am very close to Vijayanand Swami. So that's how he took me to their ashram. He said, "This is my guru's ashram." His guru was Chaitanya Tirth Maharaj, Vijayanand Swami's, and Chaitanya Tirth Maharaj's guru was Shivam Tirth Maharaj, whose ashram I went there. And Shivam Tirth Maharaj was the main person who wrote about Lalleshwari. Shivam Tirth Maharaj did not have any experience directly with her, but he listened to his guru, who was Vishnu Tirth Maharaj, who lived in Rishikesh. And Vishnu Tirth Maharaj was in direct communication with Laleshwari. He said to have women met because we are talking about all these gurus are just about the 19th century, 18th, 19th century. Laleshwari is somebody from 13th, 14th century. So you can see that gap, and there are certain incidents where Vishnu Tirth Maharaj Ji has met her. So it's very obvious that despite the century gaps, she is there. And it's a strange lineage because I had no idea about all these things. Their highest lineage, like Vishnu Tirth Maharaj, there are many 4 or 5 gurus again above him. Narayan Tirth Maharaj is there, and above that there is Parmanand Tirth Maharaj. He's supposed to be the highest. He was Parmanand Tirth Maharaj was a very, very powerful master, but he taught in silence. I told you, the more perfected master, they're in silence. So he taught only in silence. So it came from there, and it becomes grosser and grosser. Even in the books of Vishnu Tirth Maharaj and this lineage, they speak about how the lineages start becoming grosser and grosser till it extincts. Because the quality of the previous masters and the kind of intensity they had and the surroundings they had was something brilliant. And that keeps getting affected in the Kali Yuga, and the quality deteriorates. And it is written that, usually it begins with very quality and very limited disciples and very powerful. If you see one guru is there and there are 10 disciples or 5 disciples, 12 disciples, they're all very powerful. And then it starts expanding. Those disciples teach, and then it goes and goes and goes, and it becomes masses. So it's given in the book that the more it comes into the masses, it starts deteriorating because the quantity increases and the quality suffers. This is all written by Shivam Tirth Maharaj. So I'm not telling my personal thing. It's all from the book. And they have many books and all that. But the whole thing is they don't have advertisement. They don't have publicity. So I have never heard about this ashram, nor these people, nor the books and all. It is only when I was in the ashram that I'm looking around, I'm seeing this and their gurus, lineage and all. And I have deep adoration for them because that's my advantage that I had, blessing that I had, that I never differentiated one guru from the other, one path from the other. Never. I never had that feeling this is our path, that is somebody else's path. Thank God I don't have it. And that also we will see how Lalleshwari talks about these things. In fact, the most surprising thing is that all that I've been teaching in the past 2-3 years, and later when I came to understand the mysteries and the teachings of Lalleshwari, it's all the same. It's all the same. What idea she had and what the way she looked at it, it's all the same. So that's how I take it very profoundly. It's their grace, because I don't understand. I don't understand when can we do all these things. We cannot do anything. Only when it happens, we realize. And so when I was leaving the ashram, I thought, because I was an avid book reader. So I went to their library and asked and pick. They said, okay, you can. And then there was a book. My eyes fell on that, named as The Last Composition. And that caught my eyes. Apart from all the books, there were many books. I went, and yellow color, orange book it was. I went and picked it up. And I said, I'll take this. I said, I paid the money, and then somehow I got a lift by some other seeker was there till Kalyan bus station. They dropped me there, and from there I am supposed to go to Ullasnagar. Ullasnagar is where Vijayanand Swami was having this program, and he had dropped me here and gone. And he said, after 2 days you come, I'm here, then we'll come back to Karnataka where I stay, come back home together. I said, okay. I finished my 2 days in the ashram and I was going to Kalyan. I sat near the bus stop. I just got down from there, the bus stop, and I was supposed to take an auto rickshaw to 5 kilometers Ullasnagar. I'm still confused whether it was Thane or Kalyan, wherever it is. So while I was sitting there, I thought, let me look at what this book is. And I knew I could read it later, but then that urge was so strong, I just wanted to read the introduction. What is this introduction? So I opened the book and I started reading the introduction. But I never knew when the introduction was over, when the first chapter began, when the second. It just went on, one after the other, one after the other, one after the other, pages by pages. And I got so engrossed in it that whatever was revolving in that book, which is what I'm going to speak today, all those books, it was in my awareness. It came into my awareness. And I was feeling exactly what those things are. I can't explain it, what those things were happening. But all a phenomena, some kind of a phenomena happened there was suddenly I saw, because I'm sitting amidst the bus stand with the public and all going. What I saw was I could see everything, the buses and peripheral vision, which I teach here. I'm not looking here and there because I'm not disconnected from the book, but I'm aware from my peripheral vision. Buses are coming, people are moving, and crowd is running here, there, and everything. And I can hear people shouting, this bus, that bus, and all those things. And I'm aware of this. And slowly those sounds start fading away while I'm reading. And I got so engrossed in it that I couldn't hear a single sound outside. What's happening there? Not a single sound. Completely engulfed in it, and tears were literally pouring out of my eyes. I was aware of the tears falling on my shirt, wetting my shirt, and on the book also it's falling. I'm aware, but I don't want to do anything. I don't want to move my eyes or my awareness from what I'm reading. And that reading was not even like a reading. It's like I'm scanning through these pages and those happenings, what's going on in there, and everything. And strange kind of peace, a very powerful kind of awareness space came. I couldn't hear. Everything was like blocked. My senses were blocked. And stillness. I sat there and I finished the whole section of the book, which was completely about the story of Lalleshwari, and tears were continuously flowing. So by the time this ended, I was unable to come out of that thing, and I sat there just because I didn't know what to do. Also, I was just sitting there, and I was enjoying that moment. At the same time, I was so touched by the story. Around 45 to 15 minutes, 50 minutes, I was in that state. And then when I slowly I came to my senses and I closed the book, and something had struck me so badly. I was not interested in anything else. I was not even feeling interested to go where I was going and all those things. I was not even bothered to call an auto, which I was supposed to call. I just on the map location and saw where is Ulhasnagar. Like I saw it's in this direction, and I just started walking. I remember I was walking, and while I was walking on the streets, also I had no proper hosh nahi tha. And see, one side of my logic was telling me it's dangerous because I was crossing. I could see I'm crossing the bridges and vehicles are moving, all those things. But there was an ecstasy, strange kind of an ecstasy. At the same time, one part of my mind was telling it's dangerous. Where are you going or all that? But the other side was not listening to it. It was very strange. I can't explain it. I'm hearing this also. The other is not responding it also. I'm just following. And then I walked down literally to that place, 5-6 kilometers. And by the time I reached there, I see the program is ended and Swamiji has finished everything. And I am unable to tell him anything. I don't speak to them. I'm not able to speak anything, and some party and all those things. Then I just go to the room, sleep. And next day I come back in the same vehicle with Swamiji, and I am unable to tell him anything. I just thanked him for taking me to this ashram. And then he said, those guys are all nice and they have ashrams all over India. Some places he said prominently, and he's told me some things about it. And I was reading about this whole thing, and in that there was a mention called Devas, a place in Madhya Pradesh, and there is a Narayan Kuti there, and that Kuti is that's an ashram which belongs to Vishnu Tirth Maharaj. So Vishnu Tirth Maharaj was the main guru who was running at that time, and his disciple was Shiva Tirth Maharaj. So when Vishnu Tirth Maharaj was in his meditation, what used to happen is he used to enter into deep states of consciousness. And everything would just move like a film in front of him. Whatever he had his awareness, where he put his awareness, and if he goes into meditation, all the reels would just start playing in front of him, whenever, whatever he wanted. And that few of the things he used to reveal to Shivam Tirth Maharaj, his disciple, his favorite disciple. And Shivam Tirth Maharaj used to be very surprised because there are very subtle things. And you can't believe it, those kind of things. So he trusted it, and then Shivam Tirth Maharaj himself saw many such episodes where Vishnu Tirth Maharaj was interacting with the Guru Mandala. And sometimes Vishnu Tirth Maharaj and Shivam Tirth Maharaj are going to Ganga Tat, and they want to wash their clothes and all that. It's a regular walk that they take, Guru Shishya. So sometimes when they're talking and going, suddenly when there is silence, he sees Vishnu Tirth Maharaj talking something, blah, 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 blah. And then he looks at him. He's looking at someone and talking, and he's walking. So he's surprised what has happening. So when he gets an opportunity, he asks, whom are you talking to? And very casually he says, oh, he was our guru in our lineage, so and so. He said, yeah. I said, yeah, we have sometimes conversations. So he used to tell, don't tell anybody. Just keep it to yourself. So all these kind of episodes that used to happen, Shivam Tirth Maharaj used to note down in his diary. So one day he told, Vishnu Tirth Maharaj told somebody about somebody called Laleshwari. Then he said, Paramahansa Tirth Maharaj was the highest guru from where the whole lineage started. Now, Paramahansa Tirth Maharaj had initiated Laleshwari. That's how the connection, that Laleshwari's connection to this lineage. And he could tell the story, Vishnu Tirth Maharaj could tell the story of any of the gurus of that lineage, whatever happened in crystal clear clarity. That's how he started talking about Laleshwari. He used to even talk about the places he is in, like in Devas, in Madhya Pradesh. I've been there. And Laleshwari's grace only all these things happened. I had to go there. There is a hill called Chamunda Hill in Devas. And on that hill, there is this ashram called Narayan Kuti, where Vishnu Tirth Maharaj lived and Shivam Tirth Maharaj lived. Most of these episodes of writing down and all happened there. So Vishnu Tirth Maharaj had a kutir there, nice kutir. And in that kutir, lot of things had happened, which was written in some other texts and all. I've read almost all their texts. So many of the incidents used to happen in that kutir. And even Vishnu Tirth Maharaj left his body also in that kutir. There's a cot in center of that small hut kind thing. And many stories revolve around that. What happened when he used to lie down, and at night, what Shivam Tirth Maharaj used to see sometimes, including when the last stages of Vishnu Tirth Maharaj, when he said that I have to leave, and I'm going to leave, and the mandala has asked me to come back. So Shivam Tirth Maharaj, as a disciple, said, no, this cannot happen. And then there are many dialogues where he makes him understand that Guru is not the body. You're suffering because you think I'm the body. So your body is not going to, my body is not going to help you. So it's your inner Guru that will, once it is activated, it will start working. That will see Laleshwari also talking, how when the inner Guru activates everything is done by the inner Guru. And not a surprise, this I was fascinated with Ramana Maharishi's teachings also, because he used to say the inner Guru. The outer Guru leads you to the inner Guru, and the inner Guru starts working. So it's all the same thing. You'll see a lot of resemblance with what we are talking all these 2-3 years, what I've been talking, or what Upadesha Saram, Kalagyan. You'll see all resemblance to this. And it's very strange, and coincidentally all these are happening. Like even Chidakasha Gita. Without intention, we were doing a retreat in Tirunamalai, and Chidakasha Gita arrived there. God knows how, and it just got arranged. And all the 30-35 people who had come there, all of them in 2 batches, they got the Chidakasha Gita. And then from then we started contemplating even on Chidakasha Gita. So if you have seen all the recent videos, you can see I am always constantly relating to Yoga Vashishta, Chidakasha Gita, Upadesha Saram, Kalagyan. And now I'm going to introduce this Laleshwari also. Frequently you'll find me talking about this because it's all the same again. There we will have a profundity and understanding of what the truth is. I'm making these efforts here. I can say I'm making this effort for the sake of saying these efforts are being made to make us realize the ultimate truths, which I don't find in the worldly spirituality. It's very difficult. I sometimes feel there is a lot of waste of time that's happening. beating around the bush and doing things where you're no more interested. For example, ritualistic practices. And somehow I have never been interested in it. And I couldn't relate to it. Even now, I can't relate. But there was nothing that could tell me this is fine, except my guru. My guru is to never criticize, or he's to never say that you have to do this ritual or this. And he was very happy with what I would do. So apart from him, everybody was disappointed. So they wanted me to get back into the form and worship the form, which I said no. Even today, I said no, because that doesn't appeal to me at all. And then all these things, episodes starts opening in my life very miraculously. And then I see, okay, there is someone who understands. There is some, I mean, whom I can't see, but they can understand and I can understand. It's the same language what they're speaking. Then I said, wow, this is beautiful. So I must bring this out to whoever are thinking like me, or who are maybe not understanding what the whole thing is going about. Like the yesterday also we saw that there were a couple of people who said, I don't understand mantra, I don't understand rituals, and I can't do it for some reason. Am I doing wrong? So everybody is feeling this guilt. Is it wrong or right and all that? Where there is no right and wrong. Where you belong, what you're supposed to do, you will be made to do by life. That's as simple as that. So Upadesha Saram came to rescue, and it made us realize, okay, this is how it is. And then today, when I read out Laleshwari, you will understand exactly Upadesha Saram he's talking about. Because this is higher spirituality. There comes a time when you can't relate with all these grossness, gross spirituality. And then if you're fortunate enough, you have proper ways to easily get there, or you have to struggle. You have to literally battle out in this world, because nobody understands these things. It's very strange. It's there in the scriptures. It has been practiced by great masters, but still people can't understand it. I have seen even people can oppose this, and they can get in conflict with you. They can literally stand against you, and then they can say that what are you doing? This is some kind of nonsense. And how can this be nonsense? And I don't know. I don't want to get into that zone. It's their thought or whatever it is. Like I'm just interested in what I learn, and what I am having full conviction of. And thanks to the Lord Almighty, that through many such concepts and messengers, he conveys his message. And so the whole thing happened there in Devas. There is this Chamunda hill. And when Vishnu Tirth Maharaj used to live there, he used to talk about the Mahima of Chamunda hills. So he used to talk about Sheetal Nath Maharaj, was a great Naga Sadhu. He was like an Abghori almost, from the Nath sect, and he used to sit in the Chamunda hills there and practice. He used to give a lot of stories, Vishnu Tirth, about Vishnu Tirth Maharaj used to talk about him, which is very mysterious because there is no details about these people. Like, for example, this Chamunda hill in Devas was the penance place of Raja Bhartrari, Vikramaditya's brother. Raja Bhartrari, who has written the Vairagya Shatakam, which I often talk about. Read it. If you have the courage, read it. Vairagya Shatakam. So Raja Bhartrari was somebody who was a king, and his wife deceived him. She was very beautiful, and he used to love her like mad. One day he finds that she's cheating on him, and she's having some affair with some courtesan, somebody in the palace, and that shocks him. That's a rude shock to him. And that's so rude that he's disgusted with life. He's disappointed with life, and he just leaves the palace and walks up. And he comes straight to this hill, what I'm talking about. There was Chamunda hill, where Vishnu Tirth Maharaj had his ashram. So Vishnu Tirth Maharaj is talking about all these, what he's seeing. He's literally seeing these stories. And he talks about Raja Bhartrari's tapasya there, how he lived on fruits and wild berries and just survived on water, and he did intense tapas there because he was so disgruntled with life. He had reached the pinnacle of that Vairagya. He was not interested in anything. And then later, his family, his brother came, Raja Vikramaditya, the Vikram Baital person. He came, he wouldn't listen. His wife came. She was very guilty and she came, but he had no problem with her. He had forgiven her because his penance was so powerful. He had forgiven her and he said, "You go back. You live the way you want with whomever you live. You stay happy. I'm happy." And he had grown great beard and all those things. And very, very beautifully, Vishnu Tirth Maharaj used to talk about. And I used to be fascinated by these kind of concepts. And I fell in love with Vishnu Tirth Maharaj. So he left his body somewhere in the late 70s, I believe. So I had this real admiration for Vishnu Tirth Maharaj. And the document that I read about Ma Laleshwari was all told by Vishnu Tirth Maharaj. What happened to Ma Laleshwari? Because if you even browse, if you check out the internet, you'll find only some details. Like she was harassed by her in-laws and then she left home and she went and then she became like a mad wandering ascetic and then she had powers and then blah, blah, blah. All those things happened and then one day she leaves the body. She had followers of Hinduism and uh, Sufism, Islam. And then there is a fight all the time. Right now, if you go, they will say, no, she's a Shaiva saint, Kashmiri Shaivism. So she only worshipped Shiva. And some Muslims say, no, she is for Allah. And that fight would always be there. Conflict would always be there. In fact, I hear that even if you go today to Kashmir, the Muslims there revere her so much. They say, यहाँ पे या तो अल्लाह है या लल्ला है. It's like that. Ma Lalla, they called Laleshwari, they call Lalla. So it's like Allah or Lalla for them. It's like she's that. They revere her to that. So there was always this conflicts between Hindus and Muslims there, which Ma Laleshwari did not like. And that is what she used to completely shun. In her teachings also, she used to completely shun this Hindu-Muslim concept. She even shunned community, caste, paths, creed, religion, even discrimination between man and woman, which is what we have learned in Chitakasha Gita. No discrimination there also. Between animal, plant, no absolutely Veda, Abheda complete. So that tattva, oneness, Ajata tattva was there in her. But we know that despite all their, what they do, people will still tend to do what they want to do. So there, the fight was always there. And when she had left her body also, she left in such a way that she doesn't leave her body back. Because the Hindus were waiting to cremate her, Muslims were waiting to make a coffin and bury her. And she left with the body. So she didn't leave any trace of the body only. And that's how then she became famous. So these things you'll see in the internet or you'll find out. But then Vishnutit Maharaj, through his clairvoyant vision, he was a Trikaldarshi. He narrated every bit of story about Laleshwari. And Vishnutit Maharaj was listening. And he was jotting down, noting down, noting down. Then Vishnutit Maharaj observed that he's noting down. He was a person who never liked publicity, Vishnutit Maharaj. He lived a very humble life. If you even see his pictures, his images, he was just like a one dhoti and one chasma, one black frame chasma and a beard, white beard, a very simple, short kind of a man. And nobody will know also who is he. And he lived all his life like that. No exposure to people. He had only a couple of disciples, only to them, and very aloof life he lived. And he didn't like any kind of publicity. So he was against it. So he used to advise Shivamtit Maharaj not to mention this to anyone. But when he was noting it out in the book, when he saw that he's very interestingly noting it down. He only said, okay, you write down, but that wish of yours that you want to publish it, do it only after I leave my body. Before that, you are not going to do it. So Shivam Tirth Maharaj says, okay, I'll not do it. So this book became published only after Vishnu Tirth Maharaj left his body. And when people read about all these things and what Vishnu Tirth Maharaj was, it was too late. People realized who he was because everybody took him for granted. Simple man. And that's how looks can deceive. And that he did not want, because he did not want people to come and chase him for all the worldly petty things. He knew it very clearly that if somebody like him, he knew he could see something, then he would have a big crowd of people trying to ask about their future, about their worldly worries and all that. And he absolutely was not interested in it. That is how he was very safe during that. So many things happened in that kutir and all those things, and I was just madly in love after this whole incident of that close to 1 hour of this awareness. That's the first time in my life I get this awareness experience firsthand, and I didn't even know it was awareness. So when all these things were, I read all these things, and while I was coming back with Swamiji, I was secretly in my mind wanting to go to Devas and see at that place and all that, because I was so touched with all those things. And maybe it's a past life connection, but I had a very strong pull. I have to go. I have to go there. And those days there was no WhatsApp and all that. I was just sitting, and my friend's message came, SMS came. My friend was in uh, Goa, Pratap. He sent a message. Bhai, Devas chalenge kya? I was shocked. And I remember I didn't think left or right, and I said just book. Because how can this be? And that we never discussed these things and all this, He somewhere had read somewhere, I think so. And but at that same time, he had the thought that can we go to Devas? Of all everything which my mind is fully there about Devas, I said do it. And 3-4 days later, Pratap, Sham, and me decided to go, and we got the train towards Madhya Pradesh. We went to Indore, and from Indore we traveled to Devas by bus. And before going there, I asked Swamiji here, can you make some arrangement there of the place there? And Swamiji said, no, they won't allow, because it's only for seekers. Here, it's okay. Locally, I knew, but there they won't allow. They're very strict. I tried, but I said, let's go. Let's see anything. Let's stay outside and let's visit Chamunda Hill and come. So I went outside. And after that, near the bus stand, we took a room, and then we went to the ashram there. First, we went to Chamunda Hill. We went to Ma Chamunda's cave, where there's a very stone carving of Ma Chamunda, huge one in that cave. In that cave, Raja Bhartrihari used to meditate. And Sheetal Maharaj also used to say, next side by cave. Dhuni and all is still there of Sheetal Maharaj. So that was a fascinating thing, because we had reached early morning, and morning 5 o'clock we had gone there. It was beautiful, meditating in that cave, very powerful. And we came down searching for this ashram. We got it, we entered, and they said, no, we can't allow you here. You can have just be partake in the puja and then go off. You are not allowed to see anything here. I said, I just want to meet the Swami there. I'm cutting it all short, because I am not going to elaborate, because I don't want anybody going there. As simple as that. Because last time when I did it a couple of years back, some people went there, and it caused some uncomfortable things. So I don't want all those things to happen. And Swamiji there knew me very well. But when the people went and said, oh, so and so had come there, he said, no, nobody came here, and I don't know him. So I was taken aback. I said, I shouldn't have done that. So a lot of things happened there, and I could go there, and somehow a lot of things happened, and mysteriously I was able to even see the room and all those things. Anyways, cutting that all short, the whole experience of that, even being able to be in the vicinity of that Vishnutit Maharaj's place, and I was literally in trance for 2 days, literally. And literally, I don't know what was that, because those days I used to never even understand what's happening. This is all somewhere in 2013 what happened. And I had taken a 6 months off from Delhi. I was in the ashram that time. I had come back home here for 6 months. And I was busy transcribing the books of Vijayanand Swami from Kannada to English, and I was serving him in the ashram here. I lived in the ashram for 6 months that time. That time, all these things happened. So from there, the whole scenario about Laleshwari and the story was so fascinating that I started deepening about this. Then when I came, and in just 2 or 3 years, this concept of awareness just began happening to me. And then I booked this shiftingtoawareness.com and the things. This when I was Delhi only I booked. I had no idea what is this about. But the domains were booked and all those things. But only after I came here many years later, the website and all came in. And then we started with all these practices. So all that I had in mind was that experience, that 45-50 minutes of experience that I had. And I wanted to share it with my friends. Like, there is this kind of a strange feeling of what happens. You are frozen that state. You can enter into this state, and I'm trying, and I tried it with my friends, a couple of my friends. But when friends don't take you very seriously, so that didn't work out. Then slowly, when this whole platform began, that's how I started doing these things. And that time, I had even forgotten what I had read. But after 2 or 3 years, when we did after the pandemic, when I was looking into the book again, I was shocked to see that all that we are teaching here and all the concept that I'm talking, all the whatever you call teachings or everything is exactly coming from there. And I was like, wow, this is something. And whenever we used to go into those sessions, even people would experience that kind of a trance. When we were talking about Laleshwari. In fact, today also one or two of you send these messages. Whenever you talk, just even Laleshwari, I get goosebumps. I don't know what's that about. So that's the power. That's the power of that divinity. That's the power of her presence. Now I don't know how I got connected to her or whatever, but I'm telling what I'm trying to give the message is when you have intense seeking for the highest truth and nothing else, you're not interested in anything else but that ultimate truth, and you're ready to compromise anything, you're ready to lose or whatever you call. If you can go into that state and be in there, then the help will just stop, because you're connecting to that zone of people who are in that field, who are liberated in that field, who were like this, whose frequencies were like this. So Laleshwari was now I'm coming back to her whole thing. So I just connected all these things. Why I feel connected to her. Today also, when I think about her, I have goosebumps. I can strongly even now sense her presence. I just love her. So Laleshwari was a Trikaldarshi. She she knew her past, present, and future for multiple lives. And she lived in all those lives very neutrally. That's something very strange to ascertain about. She was born in Kashmir, somewhere in a old town near some 4-5 kilometers away from Srinagar, somewhere close to Srinagar. And when she was born in a Brahmin family, Kashmir Pandits. And that was not her first life. She had many multiple lives before, which is all given in detail, what each of those lives were. It's very, very mesmerizing. And she's talking about this and future life. In the past life, she's talking about her future life. Like this, as Laleshwari, she knew about this even 6 lifetimes before. From there also, she used to hint about this lifetime. It's very mysterious. So she was born in this place, Srinagar. Srinagar is where I'm going to have a retreat. They are just waiting for the Leh road to open. I believe it's Laleshwari only, because the Lieutenant Colonel who's there, his base is at Srinagar and he's inviting me. So we don't know when those things just set in place. We are going, and it's for the military guys. It's not for the public, anyways. but I'll have an opportunity to be there because exactly it's just I saw on the net also it's like 5-6 kilometers where Ma Laleshwari's Kund is from where we are going to go. So when she was born in a Brahmin family, she was married at the age of 12 to somebody. And then by the age 25, 26, she used to live in that house, but she was not happy. Not happy in the sense she was not kept happy. She was a neutral person. Her mother-in-law harassed her. Father-in-law was okay. Husband harassed her. She had a very tough life. Now, when you reflect on the life of Ma Laleshwari, you will come to know that multiple lifetimes she had sufferings. This will help us all understand about prarabdha and how things happen. So this lifetime, by the age of 2025, many things happened and then she was forced to leave home. She had to just leave home because the pressure was come to there. Now, every time I've spoken about this birth lifetime of her, where her husband harassed her and then she left and all that, now I'll instead prefer talking 6 lifetimes before. 6 lifetimes before, Ma Laleshwari was born in Srinagar, in the same place, same village. 6 lifetimes before. There is no record of the dates and years. What I just told about her getting married and all that, that is about the late 13th century. So this we do not know how many. And it's not very far, okay? It's not centuries ago, all this 6 lifetime. Even will 6 lifetime means maybe 600 century, no, 600 years or 6 centuries. No. She had very short lives in the 6 lives. Her 7th life is what we are elaborating on, but before she had very short lives. So I believe it is not even in one generation. It all these things happened in just one generation. Now, 6 lifetime before, she was born in this same village, and the whole incident where Vishnu Tirth Maharaj starts talking about and the whole description starts coming is when she was married at that time also. She had a husband. Husband was okay. And she delivered a baby boy. When she delivered a baby boy, there was one man sitting next to her, and that was the Kul Guru, the guru of that lineage or family. So she said to the Kul Guru, pointing to the baby child, there's this baby child. And she said, you know who's this? Said, it's your son. She said, no. Said, what? You delivered her. You delivered him. She said, you'll know about it when the time comes. Just remember this. That's all. Just give me a moment. Just give me a moment, please. Yes. I guess so. Just 1 minute. Suddenly something caught my attention, and there are two people just desperately trying to communicate for the life. Okay, sorry. So she just tells the Kulaguru, just remember this incident, that's all. When the time comes, I'll let you know. Who is this? And she dies. The next life, before leaving a body, she tells Kulaguru, I'm going to be born again in such and such place, but as a cat. And he's like, what? And he gives all the identifications. This is how it is, and this is how the stripes, and this location, and all these things, and this time, and all. He says, okay. And she dies. And now the Kulguru is little curious. So he goes and literally searches all those places, and he finds the cat, literally, and he knows this is a cat. And he knows that this is because he's a guru. He also knows this is an enlightened being. So he sits and tries to communicate. What is it that you meant by you'll know when the time comes right? And strangely, the communication from the cat comes. You'll know it, but I still have some more life again. So I'll be born in this place as a dog. And he's again surprised. And before he could move away from that place, a tiger comes, and a moving tiger from there comes and pounces on the cat, and the cat is over. And he's surprised by this. And then, according to whatever she says, he goes to trace her there also, the person there. And he finds this, the guru finds the dog there. There also he tries to communicate, but then again the same things. You will know when the time comes, and it goes like this. Multiple small life, animal lives she has for 6 janmas this way, 5 janmas, and then the 7th janma before the preceding janma, same way tells the guru, I shall be born in such a place. And that is how Ma Laleshwari's birth is being recorded. The 13th end century, she gets born into this place somewhere near Srinagar, into a Brahman family, this time a human form, but a Brahman family. And there in that family, at the age of 12 only, she's married off. And this guru is still there. This all, the same person who's seeing all this, the Kul Guru, the family guru is still there. So now he has no trace about anything, but one day, at the age of 12, when the bridegroom is coming to marry her, and she's known to be a very beautiful girl, because she's again from the Brahmin Kashmiri Pandit this sect, and she's sitting at home. The school guru also is sitting there at that home, because somehow it is the same kind of family things only. They are being born there and there. And then she tells, do you remember? He says, no. Then she reminds about those incidents, previous life incident, and he's like shocked. Is that you? What did you mean? All these lifetimes I've been following you, chasing you, because I lost my interest literally, because you're not saying. Last few janmas I didn't follow you, because every time you're not saying anything. He says, this lifetime you'll know. He said, do you remember about my son? She doesn't say son. She said, at that incident. The man, the Kulguru says, yeah, I remember you were dying, and you told me about your son, and you died. She said, that's not my son. I said, then what? You were supposed to tell me, then who is he? He says, look outside. That bridegroom who's come there with his friends to marry me, that's him. He's shocked. What are you saying? Even that child? This boy? He says, yes. And he's bewildered. And now that much episode is over. Now Ma Laleshwari is in a different mood, because somewhere in her chitta, from the previous janma, that affection as a mother, that little affection as a mother, that gets carried on. This is all recorded. This is not, I'm not telling, it's all recorded in this manner. The chitta, the affection gets stuck in there, and it's moving through all these bodies, different, and that is still there in this lifetime. So now when she is looking at her to-be husband, because the Kulguru says, oh, that's your child. He says, no, that's not my child. That was my child in this previous birth. Even if she's saying that's completely different identities, that mamta, that affection as a mother in one corner, that is still there towards him. So she is confused now. She is unable to see him as a husband and as a son, because it's a very complicated thing. How can you look at these two ends, different ends? She lives in dilemma all throughout. That's one of our major suffering. And see, this is why we have memory lapses. In each janma, we have memory lapses, because if you remember, it's a big problem. You cannot finish karmas, whatever is there. And I often keep talking about these kind of examples, where we are all here, only these roles keep changing. What you take so seriously as this is my this, that is my this, is not so. So when I talk, people say, Isko kya hai? This guy is talking about vairagya, will not listen. You listen or you don't listen, these are the truths of life. Whomever you're seeing in and around you have been playing multiple roles in multiple janmas. You just don't have the memory of it. The only blessing and curse of Ma Laleshwari was that her purity level was so high that she could see through all the three zones of Trikal, all the three tenses, past, present, and future. So that blessing can become a curse. But that also kept her very suspended, because she was an intense seeker in all these lives. She was madly in love with God, but she had her karmas also. So all these fulfillment were her karmas, vasanas and all those gets eradicated with bhog, sharira, there's all those things. It's just moving. But she is moving as pure awareness through all the janmas. She's aware of everything. Now when she was born also, she's aware. When she's going to get married also, she's aware. She's completely aware who's her mother, who's her father, who's her brother, sister, who's this soul to be husband, who's her neighbor, everything she knows very clearly. But even if you know, you can't do anything, because that's your prarabdha. It's just like saying Narayana took the form of Lord Rama. We very well know that it's the curse of Narada who cursed him, and he is taking Janma. He has to fulfill that prarabdha curse. So he gets born as Rama, and Rama is aware. But if Rama is aware, he also has to fulfill his prarabdha. He cannot say, I'm aware of this, or I'm this, and that is the state of that consciousness. That state of consciousness only one can reach there when they can unaffectedly move to the prarabdha without any kind of escapism. If we are in a mode of trying to escape that, then we cannot reach that state first of all. That clarity comes only at that stage, when you have full discrimination and you will not interfere in that prarabdha. Before that, it cannot come. As simple as that. So that's what we mean by purity, reaching that level of consciousness. So Ma Laleshwari knew at the age of 12 only who these people are. And as part and parcel of her karma, she got married and she went. But for till around 26 years, she lived with the husband place, and she could never give in to her husband's advances because of this mamta. She's seeing the, what do you call, son in that. At the same time, People are telling it's the husband and she can't take it. So that she lives in that kind of a conflict even through that. And that makes life very much worse for her. Her mother-in-law is very, very tempered, ill-tempered, and she keeps harassing her every single day. She doesn't allow her to meditate. The moment Malala is to get into meditation, all the tantrums will begin at home. Everybody will oppose and all those things and all that. But still she used to be very determined, come what may. Because that's the goal she had, and she's not deterring away from that, despite her prarabdha. So now this husband starts doubting on his wife, because Malala every evening goes to the nearby river to fetch water, and that's the only time she gets for meditation. So she will sit down there and just stare, simply stare at the river. So she's just watching, and she's in complete awareness. Her meditation is only that. And she also has a guru, Siddha Shrikantji, who initiates her into Shaivism and Lord Shiva and everything like that. So she is connected to that. In her poems also, she has talks a lot about Shiva, but she's talking about Nirguna Nirakara all the time. So many people used to say that she goes to the river bank and she's going to a Shiva temple there and worshipping. That is one side of the story. Some used to say that she used to just sit there and meditate. Some would say she would stare into the water. See, the stories is not a problem. Is not our concern. Our concern is the message, what her life was all about. So she used to be in this bank rivers, and one day she fell into deep samadhi, as usual. And it was very late at home. The samadhi was very usual, but that day it was very unusual because it went for very long. And her mother-in-law, who used to harass her so much, her mother-in-law is supposed to have even put stones in her food, and she used to all things like, those days there were in Kashmir there are these green stones, so they used to put it in the plate and then cover it up with food, rice, and then Laleshwari used to eat that little she used to eat, and there's a big stone there. So hardly she was given good food, and to show everybody in the house that she's being given heap full of rice, but under the hand is a big stone. But Laleshwari was so neutral. She never complained, never criticized, never brooded about anything. It is said that whenever she finished her uh, food, whatever little she had in her plate, she used to quietly take the plate and the stone and wash the plate and wash the stone also and keep it there, so that, so that it can be reused for the next. That was her stature, but never complained. She knew her prarabdha. Her father was okay. Father-in-law was okay. He didn't mistreat her and all that. So in that manner, one day, I forgot to mention, the father-in-law was no one other than her previous life husband, where she had died giving birth to this child. The husband which was there, loving husband she had, that husband only is her father-in-law in this lifetime. So he's okay with it. He has no problem. See, why I'm telling this in this manner, we have all kind of variety in our families. This is all in this manner how the science behind it is. And when she had died after delivering the boy, her husband, this father-in-law, had married again. That woman is her current mother-in-law. So all these kind of roles only keep exchanging here and there. Some give and take. They will come back and be born as anybody in your family, and that give and take, that karmic give and take takes place. That's how the karma gets extinguished. That's how the cosmic intelligence knows. It is not going to define all these things and that. See, it explains a lot of things why we are confused. Why, if you look at in the world, if you have a sense of awareness in this world, and look at everything in awareness, first with your own families, first then around in the world, other families, you look at all these stories, and they will be very surprisingly mysterious. But if you dig little, watch deeply, you'll get an idea that this is not really the family that we are talking about. See, you even know there is something called incest, family incest that happens, sexual attraction in the families, and these are very tabloid, so nobody speaks about them. They are all shunned down. But if you see, it's a mass, it's a good percentage of such cases reported. Homosexuality is there, gayism or lesbianism. All these come from these kind of characteristics. How can anybody have sexual attraction in the family? These, it can be some intense lover, it can be some intense, some other kind of relationship, then accidentally getting, not accidentally, it's through synchronicity to finish off some karma, getting born there, and then these strange emotions erupt up, and then otherwise there is no explanation to this. If you see, it's how can this happen in this cosmic creation? As it is said, everything is completely scientific. Everything is completely scientific. And even if two people of opposite sex are attracted to each other, like boys attracted to boys, girl attracted to boys, now it's a weird thing, and it's like people don't want to talk about it. There's nothing wrong with that. If you just look very deeply, these two male, for example, in a previous birth one can be a female. It's quite possible. So that opposite sex in the attraction which was there, the pull was there, even it is continuing in the next birth, but only the, unfortunately, that person has got a person of the same gender. The gender's complication, but the soul inside, the experience that they are having is just the same. So that sudden attraction will come, and even if you criticize those people, you condemn those people, whatever you do, they can't help it. They're not doing it by purpose. It is their karmic bonding that is pinging them through all this. See, when you understand all these things, you don't get involved, and you don't get worried, or you don't get, what is disgusted. And there's nothing about disgust and all these things. It's pure scientifically happening, all these happenings. But you must have that sense of awareness to look at everything in life. Then only you will understand what is Maya. Then only all this is clear. Otherwise, if you keep on talking Maya, it's not going to affect you in any ways. It's not going to help you in any ways. So now, in this cinema, mother-in-law is treating her so bad, but father-in-law is very kind. And then when she's late to come back, mother-in-law is putting fuel into the fire and telling her son, husband of Lalleshwari, see, look, I told you, she's a pretty girl, and she never likes your presence. She doesn't allow you to come close also, and you are suffering like anything. He's gone crazy there, because he's madly in love with his wife. She's beautiful, all those things, and he just can't understand why she's avoiding, and despite being a husband. So he feels he has all the right. And that frustration, there are incidents reported where he goes so mad, the husband, that at times he's just staring into the air and then he slaps his own face, because it's confusion, it's not understanding. See, if you understand all these things, if you look at all these things in our own family dramas and world dramas, when people behave this way, or sometimes we behave that way, you'll understand this is coming. This is not from this lifetime. Some weird connections from my previous. So at least it will settle down our excitement, or settle down our confusions and fears and doubts and what's happening. I don't understand. You did not understand. You did not go and look. But these kind of real life examples will let us understand, okay, there is something to it. Even if I don't understand my life also, if it's looking very complicated, my relations are looking very complicated, the people who are in touch with me are looking very complicated, the situation, the environment is looking complicated. When I have this higher understanding, you can at least settle down and simmer down. Okay, maybe there is some cause, even if you do not know, but at least ek santona hai, some understanding is there that this is not foul play. This is some drama which I have been involved also. So that will settle you down. That's the reason we are doing all these kind of programs. Okay, this will help us in the journey, clarify a lot of things, settle us, and even develop proper and clear cut understanding towards what we call as this attachment. So much of attachment we are talking all the time. We want to be detached, we cannot. And it's very obvious that Ma Laleshwari herself taught without detachment, without desirelessness, you cannot. Three things that is said: without detachment, without desirelessness, and intense seeking for God, you cannot. So first two has been told by Bhagavan Nityananda also, which I'm again and again reiterating. So whenever we give an excuse to ourselves that it's okay to have, because everything is goody goody comfort. It's okay to be involved in the world and be in the world. There's no hurry. There's nothing to get out. And yeah, there is no hurry. You can be for us another 100 janmas also. Nobody's. But if you want liberation, there is hurry. If you are seeking the higher truth, it is only for them. And that is why I'm only talking to those people. I'm not interested in talking to anybody else. They'll not understand, first of all. So those who have that intense yearning to go beyond, who have the guts, I call it guts and courage, to look beyond their petty attachments. I call it petty. Right now, we don't understand. If Ma Laleshwari would have been ignorant, she would have been serving him like a regular wife and maybe even getting entangled more. Who knows? Only because of her awareness, she was able to understand, and not just understand, not just compromise on that life. She continued on that, and despite how many, so many janmas, that awareness was not letting go of the good. Whatever happens. So these are examples where we will understand that it's not a petty game, what we are thinking. This self-realization, this moksha, what we talk so casually, so generally. And so it's not that goody-goody game. You don't know the intensity that is needed into this. So looking at these lifestyles, we'll understand what is the price that we need to pay here in this manner. So finally, when her husband is told by her mother-in-law that this guy is up to something and she comes late, husband is very angry, obviously upset. He takes a stick and is waiting for her, and Ma is coming in her own awareness, that trance, and she enters into the house and he shouts at her, whom are you having an affair with? Whom are you cheating upon me? Who's that person? And all that. And she's stunned because she is a pure lady. And before she can react, because she's silent, he gets more angry. He comes with a stick to hit her and hits her with the stick, but it misses and hits the pot. When it hits the pot breaks into pieces, but the water stands there on her head. That is the first time they see, the whole family is a witness to something which they never expected. Water is still there. Pot has broken. But Ma is so engrossed in her, she just lets the water down, and some stories say she washes the dishes, and some say she puts it outside, and from there the stream of water never stops, and that is what is called as La Kund. That kund is still there. I just investigated on the Google Maps, it's still there. So that is supposed to be that kund. So irrespective of the story, I'm coming back to the tattva of it. She's very deeply hurt because she has not done anything wrong, and now she's doubted upon. So she has nothing to say, and that's enough for her. She has tolerated that so much. That's enough for her. So she keeps down everything and just walks away. Put this because it might disturb. She just walks away from there into the jungle. So then she starts moving around in the jungles and in the mountains of Kashmir, and the house people are hunting for her. And slowly her intensity, that yearning for the divine, is so strong that she wants nothing other than that realization. She gets to meet her guru, Siddha Srikanta. Siddha Srikanta was her guru, who initiated her into Shaivism and taught her many practices and all that. She was interested, but this is her journey. She went even beyond her guru. There are instances where she taught the guru the final path. So these have happened in many cases, even with like examples of Gorakshnath, Machandanath, many other examples also, where these things have happened. So Laleshwari was because she was of that stature. Only due to her prarabdha, she was going through all these things, but that level of thing, understand that consciousness was there. And she was completely Advaitic. Her guru was Dvaita. So she got initiated, but she was still in search of that guru, that final. She knew, and she knew she had multiple gurus in multiple lifetimes. So she was still searching for that one. Her search continued. Meanwhile, in the jungles, she used to live. And then she came to such a state with her parabhakti, the intense meditation, the yoga that she did. There's a mention of yoga in this. It's not the Hatha Yoga, obviously. What Shidakasha Gita also is discarding completely. No Hatha Yoga here. So here also she's talking about the yoga that is within. So that practice of going within and merging with her inner being, which is what we learned in Kanyangarad about merging my consciousness with the inner supreme consciousness. That merging is called yoga, which is described in Chidakasha. So same prakriya, when she undergoes very deeply, she reaches a state where she has no body consciousness. This is like the state of Avdutas. She loses her body consciousness. Then she has nothing to do with clothes. So her clothes also fall off, and she's not aware of it. She has no body control. She's aware that her body doesn't have clothes, but she has nothing to do with it. Because even the tendency to hide the body comes from ego. This is an indication of the complete eradication of ego, not bothered. So she used to wander naked. And sometimes in the jungle, sometimes in the villages and all that. And people used to spot her, and it was a big chaos. Because imagine, she's a young lady, beautiful lady, and it is very offensive, especially for gurus and the dharma gurus who are there, and many preachers and many pandits and all. It was very offensive. And they all claimed her to be mad. So everybody is to literally drive her away. Some people used to throw stones at her, mock her. She was neutral. It is even said one beautiful incident when one day she's moving near the shop. Few knew of her stature. Few of them really knew of her stature. So those who knew respected her. They gave her flowers or touched her feet and all those things. Those who did not know, which is the maximum population, they insulted her and tried to drive her away. So one day she was standing near a shopkeeper that was a cloth store, and some folks, village folks, started abusing her and throwing stones at her and teasing her and like mad and all those things. And the shopkeeper got a little wild and he drove away all the people. Said, "Get lost," because he knew of her stature. So Ma is looking at him doing all these things. She's unaffected by the village folks doing anything to her. Now she's even unaffected by the shopkeeper trying to drive them away. She's in her own stance, standing there. And this guy is very offended. So Ma looks at him and laughs. He starts laughing. He says, "Why are you laughing?" He says, "Nothing. Why are you driving them away?" He said, "No, they are insulting you." She again laughs and she said, "Do you have 2 pieces of cloth?" So he thinks, oh, maybe she wants to cover herself. He said, yeah, Ma, I'll give you. And she takes both the cloth of same length. She has same length I want, same material, same quality. And he has that same. Or perhaps it's 1 piece of cloth. She cuts it into two, and one she ties it around here, drops it around her right shoulder. One around her left, and she walks through this, continues walking through the streets. Now, when she's walking through the street, people again continue humiliating her, insulting her, and also continue. Some people praise her, give her fruits, give her gifts, and all those things. Now, every time somebody is insulting her, on one side, she will tie a knot. Somebody is praising her, she will tie a knot. Somebody is insulting, one knot. So, one side of full insult knots and one side of knots that are to her praise. And by evening, she returns back to the shop and she says, "Can you count these?" So he says, "What is this about?" She says, "This side is all the praises that I got, and this side is all the insults." So he starts counting. And he says, "They are equal." And then she says, "Now weigh them, weigh the cloth." The weight is the same. Both the piece of cloth, both the same. So she gives a very beautiful message to him, saying that irrespective of how many counts of praise or insults that you get, both weigh the same, means both mean nothing. Just because you are getting more of praises doesn't mean that your quota of praises, your weight is increasing. Or because you're getting too much insults, it doesn't mean that your weight is going to change in any manner. It doesn't affect at all. So that was the message that was given for neutrality and being pulled away from ragadvesha and from praise and insults. So in today's world also, you can see this praise and insult is always there. We might see, no. There is a lot of praise in my life. And there is a lot of insult, some might say. There's a lot of insult. It doesn't go that way. People might mock in front of you, but there might be praises who love you. That's all even I see from my own life. People might be good to you, fantastic before you. They might love you, they might appreciate you, talk nice to you, but behind your back they'll do something else. There will be all kind of people. You'll see it. I've seen it, and I see it all the time. Face value, it is something else. Behind it, something else. That's precisely how the world works. Not everybody is happy with you. Not everybody is sad with you. Now, for example, I'm doing this kind of work, whatever work we are doing here. I'm doing a lot of lives here. If anybody wants to point out, they can point out what's wrong in this kind of work that we're doing here. So some will agree to it and say, there's nothing wrong. What's wrong in this? It's nice, it's divine. But you'll be shocked to see there are more people who will talk against and say, no, this is not right. There's something crooked. Maybe because it's against their belief or what they have learned or what they perceive. So for them, it is something else. So there will always be these people who are against your work or with your work. It shouldn't matter, is what Lalleshwari's main message was. And this was not the one incident. Many incidents throughout her life she used to tell. And all with her nakedness. Her main theme was her nakedness. So there are some stories that go like, Ma Lalded. She's called Lalded. Lalded means mother. So where they are claiming that she's a mother, and she started developing a big stomach. The tummy became so big that it used to protrude down. So her sexual organs could not be seen. So that's the whole tummy dropping down, and she had long hair, and the hair used to cover her upper body, and the tummy used to cover the lower body. There are stories like that also. But from true mystics, I saw that this is nothing but someone trying to hide things because they are still offended. How can our guru be naked, or somebody in our lineage, or a Hindu guru, or how can they be naked? So it's very still offensive. So it might be, we don't know. There are stories whether to cover up that, because she didn't have the need to cover up anything. People want to cover up for her. Like I talk about Bhagwan Nityananda, he used to go and sit in a house. Suddenly he used to walk into any house in Kerala and sit there. And people, oh, our guru came, and they're all very collar tight. And they're saying, oh, guru has come in our place, and all pomp and glory is going. And the guru is seeing all this. And the guru Bhagavan Nityananda straight walks out of the house and jumps into the pile of shit. Excreta. Directly enrolls in it. And these people are like shocked. Oh my God. And they go and catch him and bring him and wash him and all that. And who can say anything to him? He's an avduta. Again, they make him and nicely put him on the bed where he was sitting. And there. Now, the moment he is to be seated there and he'd rise up, again he'll run outside and go and roll in that excreta. Again, they used to catch him. Now, people are very insulted because their guru is doing these things. It is not, nobody wants to see why is he doing and what difference does it make to him. When he is not having a difference, when he is in that dirt, so-called dirt, he can do it because submiti only. His teaching is that. But disciples will not understand because disciples' ego will get hurt. Oh, it's my guru. What will people say? He's come and sitting in my house and I'm doing collar tight and there he goes into dirt. So to save their pride and vanity, they will wash the guru. So anyways, they used to tell that there are sayings that whenever they used to wash him also, they used to only get sandalwood fragrance. So that these are all leelas of the great mystics. So even Nityananda, when he used to walk naked, there were so many complaints. Britishers' wives and all complaining, and Britishers asking, force him to wear at least a loincloth. It's a disgusting thing when our wives are walking for an evening walk and he's walking naked all over. And then he's forced to tie the loincloth. They arrest him, they torture him, they do what all, but he's like Avadhuta. Avadhuta means they have even shunned their body. We are still talking about shunning the worldly relations and worldly things and all those things. They even have shunned the body. They don't even own that. So when they don't own a body, what will they own anything over the body? And the tattva, the element is such that even if somebody tried to put a loincloth on Bhagavan Nityananda, it is to fall down. All the British officers forcefully in the jail, in the prison. Finally, they had to plead to the devotees and say, give some sense to your guru. And they used to run and say, Baba, please, we are also having a problem. They are also. So he used to say, okay, tie. You tie. So when the bhakta used to tie, the loincloth used to stay there. So for the bhakta, he used to do that not to save his dignity. This is the stature of that, what Ma Lalleshwari also was talking about. She used to move naked. And there are cases where people used to mock her, sometimes look very dirtily at her and all those things and all that. But she used to still be unaffected, sitting there. And then one Sufi saint saw that. She's been literally abused and people are looking with such dirty eyes and all those things. And he comes there and he starts telling her, what is this? Why are you sitting like this? And when she sees him, the Sufi saint, she tries to hide her nudity. And he's like shocked. He says, you're sitting like this and people are going and doing all these things and talking about dirty about you and all those things. You're not feeling ashamed. And when I come, you're feeling ashamed. She says, I've never seen a man in everywhere. In you, I saw a man. So I felt ashamed. These are all women. Exteriorly, they must be having male bodies, but inside they are all females. One man I could see is you. So I'm trying to save my dignity. So these were the messages that she gave from her nudity also. So this was one element which people even today cannot accept it. Even some of you might be feeling so embarrassed about these things. That's the ego consciousness still holding on to that kind of a belief that this is this, whereas they were beyond all that. So as Ma continued moving around, for a long time. She became purer and purer, because all the time she's only talking about deep details in her poetry, which is known as Lalwak. Lalwak means the speech, Wak means speech, the speech or the sayings of Lal. Books were printed later as in Kashmiri, and then they got translated into, some got into Hindi, some few in English and all that. But she spoke in poems. She didn't write poems. Her speech was like that. 4 or 5 lines you'll say, and it had profound meanings in that. So if you, even if you take out in the internet and try to read it, if it makes sense to you, it's very, very deep. So in that state of her, and she often spoke about Mahashunya, which we have talked definitely in Kalagnyana. And she's only talking about Mahashunya. She's talking about Nirguna Nirakara, Shiva consciousness, nothing else than that. Absolutely, she's not interested in anything after that. It is there in her poems. You take it out and see. If you want, I can read some of them also. And one day, when she's in the jungle, her guru is busy in a dilapidated, what do you call that, broken down temple. It's all old in some ancient temple. And the guru's favorite place, that is, he does his very sure short karmas there, nitya karmas. In that is that ritualistic abhishekam that is doing. So he regularly does it without fail. So one day she enters this old temple and the guru is busy doing his karmas. She walks into this temple and he notices her. She comes and sits next to her for urinating. And he's shocked. His disciple, is coming and sitting here. He says, "What are you up to? Get up from here." And she's like, "Okay," like a child. And he says, "Go and sit that side." So she goes on the other corner of the temple and sits there. And he gets up, "Not there. Are you mad? This is a temple and I'm doing my puja here. What are you up to? Go out. Get out and do it." He's very bewildered. So she's literally moving around there only. So he literally takes her and go out. I mean, they're out. Go and sit there. And when she goes and sits there, and it's said when she actually urinates, Shivalinga appears. Then wherever she sits, Shivalinga appears. And that is the time, that moment, the guru has a realization. Oh my God, what have I been doing? She has reached that stature where she cannot find a single place where there's not Shiva. For us, it is not that only in the temple there is Shiva. It's everywhere. So she has no difference between good place, bad place, foul place, neat, divine place. But the guru was still in that zone of duality. He had still not dissolved that. So she used to teach the guru in this manner. And she went far ahead from that. And there is another incident also. There is something called Chandravak. I don't know if you know that. Chandravrat they do. So it's a deep kind of a sadhana kind of thing that they do. So Chandravrat means the moon. When the fortnight, the whole when the moon starts fading down and the moon starts growing out, there's a Purnima, and when it shrinks down, there's Amasya. So during these period, there are deeper rituals and sadhanas that is done. So the Guru was doing sadhana once on this Chandra Vrat. Vrat means they keep fasting all day, they fast, or whenever that whole thing, and he's deeply in contemplation. So she wants to meet. She goes to the ashram. This is another story. She goes to the ashram and somebody tells us, "No, you have to wait. The Guru is meditating now. So you'll have to please wait." And she laughs and says, yeah. He must be surely meditating on the horse. And he must be seeing the horse being kicked by someone, or the horse kicking someone in so and so village. So this person is taken back and she goes and reports this to the Guru. He says, she's come and this is what, and he's shocked. He's shocked. How did she know what he's doing? And he feels guilty because through his vision, he was looking in some remote corner of the village and he was concerned about his horse. And he was seeing his horse kicking someone or being kicked by someone, something like that. He was looking at that. And then suddenly, when he comes to know, oh, my disciple is conscious about this, he feels very guilty. He comes out and he meets, and he feels bad about it. That being at such stature, he's still concerned with or attached to his horse. What he's doing, he's using his things to see there, and the Ma she smiles and she says, "This is not how the vrat is done," and she teaches what is exactly Chandravrat. And she gives the message to the Guru in various ways. I just noted that thing here. What she does is, she asks for 2 pots. One pot she places and she stands in the pot. The other pot she takes ulta and puts it on her head. One pot on top, one pot down. And she says, now I am into Chandravat. He's teaching the exact way. And you can come and keep a watch on me every day. So the 15 days of the phases of the moon, where it starts shrinking, the moon, full moon starts shrinking and it becomes a thin, and then that during the process, the Guru is coming every day and seeing that every one kala, when it's the shrinking, her body also is shrinking. So in 15 days, literally, the height is reducing, the pots are reducing like this, because her body is shrinking. And by the 15th day, when he comes and sees the pot, both the pots are touching each other. When he opens the lid and see, she is turned into a paras, a mercury ball, as size of a ball, and she's astonished. He keeps it there quietly and he covers it up and he leaves the place. So the next 15 days, it starts growing. And she reverses the process with that. She's not doing anything, okay? It is not her show off. She has become one with the nature in such a way that she just has to be one with it and those things will happen. She was teaching the Guru what is Chandran fasting means. And she said, it is not in your fast. It is not in rituals. All the karma kanda, in the previously also, that example, where the Guru was busy doing his nitya karmas, chanting mantras, doing abhishekams, doing his regular sadhanas there, sitting in the temple, she came and taught, it is not in this. Because what is the use? If you're doing all these things and you have not realized that God is everywhere, if you have not realized that the true essence of Shiva consciousness is within you, you are still seeking him in a stone. If she used to talk these languages, he's not in a stone. He's not in a hand. He's within you. So this is the message he gave there. And now she gives this message. And she says, it is not in your fast. It is not in the karmakanda, in any kinds of rituals. And she says, these 3 things. It says, move beyond bodily relationships. All that your body is attached to. This people, places, things, vastu. He says, move beyond bodily relations. Rise above desires. Second, she says. She's telling the Guru this. And third, she says, only rising above the senses, mind, and intellect is not enough, but you need the grace of God as well. And to reach that grace of God, that yearning for that God or Supreme should be so strong. So she says, in that, these things can be achieved. It is not in the fasting or in the rituals. And even when she left her body, many years later, when she could predict that she has time to leave, and she had lot of Muslim followers and lot of Hindu followers. They used to, both sect used to literally worship her, especially the Sufis. And she used to often be seen with many Sufi people, Sufi saints. She even guided many Sufi saints. They used to come to her for advice. But she used to never differentiate between Hindu and Muslim. There are many cases where she has told this very, very clearly. Yeah, I was saying, even when she had to leave her body, she went into a basket, took another basket and covered from top. She entered into one basket, same like this pot thing, and she sat down in that and closed the basket. And it was in front of people. And because she used to do weird things, people used to never disturb her. And for many days they waited. She'll come, she'll come. So one day when they went and lifted the basket, she was not there. Since that time, she's not seen. Nobody saw her after that. She actually disintegrated her body and left. But strangely, Vishnutit Maharaj, while explaining all these things, explains a little deeper and explains that she can never leave the body. She is not someone who can leave or die. He says that she is, even right now, taken multiple births. Now in which form? Not, he did not specify, but he said she's in Siberia, Russia, right now. So this is all very deep, because even Bhagwan Nityananda, when he was in Kanangad, and Tulsi Amma asked about, why did you come here? Why are you here? So he said, this is not the first time I've come. He said, this is my 8th time I'm here. So that's one another part of the story, where Nityananda, what you and me know, is just one aspect of the 8th of what he told. There might be multiple before also. As maybe that enlightened being, 8th time he's just coming again in different forms to serve the purpose. So that also gives an indication that if they can come for 8 times, what's left? They can be around also if they want, or they may come if they want, and they're always there. We will never know, because if all that we know is Nityananda looked like this dark body, big belly. So now if he has a new incarnation, you can never identify, because we are stuck in this form. So even if the real Nityananda, the new Nityananda passes in front of us also, we might not recognize. And Lalleshwari passes, we might not recognize, because we know only through her characteristics. That is precisely what I say, the forms that we get so connected with. The forms are deadly. Any form that you give. For example, if you're looking at Krishna at a certain form, who has seen the form? Those days there were no photographs. Those days there were not even artists. During that time, Kalpana, it's imagination. Through imagination, you give an identity to that formlessness, or through some form that you hear about, Saguna Rupa. And who knows, you are actually sticking on to some artist's idea. Who knows how he looked? I have often asked this question, nobody has answered. Does exactly Ram look like this? I say, yeah, that's how it is. I said, I don't understand. He was 14 saal in Vanvas, 14 years in the forest. He must be having a beard. I've never seen even one beard photo of his. Or was he shaving every day? There are no answers. I said, let's be practical. So what is that? An artist's imagination. So they have represented I'm not even arguing whether they were there or not. I'm not talking about that. I'm saying the representation that we make, the forms that we create. That is why Sadhguru Jagi Vasudev, that they said that somebody asked him, Sadhguru, what if in the meditation I see God? He says, if you see God, don't care about it. And what if I see Shiva? Don't absolutely care about it. The right words that he said was, Sadhguru, if I'm meditating, what if God comes? He says, then don't care about it. What if Shiva comes? Especially if he comes, don't care. And then he explains very clearly, the Shiva that you're talking is only your calendar images, what you have seen, the form. You're just identifying that which has got in your chitta from some six senses that you've got. You're not realized it. You're just catching some form and you're a fan of that form. Now you might understand why I'm telling you about fanatic. When we become fanatic, we are just fans of that. Even the guru, what we are looking, it's just a form, it's just a body. You're not going beyond that. And who knows how many lifetime that guru has taken in so many different forms. You must be connected to the same guru also in so many different forms. That Janma, you are identified with that form, fan of that form. This Janma, you are identified with this form, fan of this Janma. Next Janma, God knows what. Next Janma, if you show this form, you will not even know. You'll say, who's this? Or in this Janma, if you're showed your future guru's body, this is, they'll say, no, I like this form. That's your catch. That is what doesn't work. So the forms don't take us anywhere. Any kind of forms doesn't take us anywhere. So Laleshwari used to constantly talk about only the forms, the formlessness. That is Nirguna Nirakara. Many times she used to reveal again and again to the people. See, there's this poem, I don't know what's the time. Okay. Which is a conversation, light-hearted conversation between Lal's husband, Malalesh's husband, and Seda Moy. Seda Mol is that Kul Guru, the mediator. And the husband. Now, what happens in the scene is the husband is madly waiting for her, and one day, when he comes to know that she's wandering like a mad woman, and people have spotted her here and there. He goes to the jungle to meet her, and that day, Ma allows him to come. Every time because she's a Trikaldrashi, she knows, oh, he's coming, she will move aside. But this time she allows him to come. And then she confronts him, and the husband begins, what are you doing here? Come back home. Do you not know how much problems is there? And blah, 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 blah. She says, no, I'm not interested in what you call as your home. Says, no, you're my wife. Said, no, I'm sorry, I'm not your wife. I've left everything and come here. How can it be? What kind of spirituality is this? Husband says, you are supposed to be first serving your husband. That is your dharma. If you're not serving your husband, if you have left everything and you're gone, you're not doing your dharma first. And if you're not completed your dharma, what kind of spirituality is yours? She's smiling through everything. And she says, if I tell you the real dharma, you will be shocked. She says, what is that? Are you ready to listen to it? He says, yes. Then sit down, I'll tell you. When he sits down, she starts telling the whole story. And she says, if you want to know why I was never fond of you, it's because I saw a son in you, and you are my son from so many lifetimes. And he's like shocked. I said, oh, no, you're bluffing. How can this be? He says, God called the Pandit and come, that Kulaguru. So he goes and comes with the Kulaguru. And there, Laleshwari reminds him again, Panditji, do you know who am I? He doesn't remember. And then she gives him a vision. Now do you understand? And suddenly he's zapped and he says, you are that lady who died? Oh my God, the whole thing is opened up here. He said, now you tell this person. Who is he? Then the shocked Kulguru looks at him and says, he's your son. Now the husband is shocked. What are you saying? Then she gives him a touch and gives him also that vision of that lifetime. And everything opens, and the husband starts weeping, weeping, and weeping. He falls at her feet and he says, I didn't know. She said, that's okay. I know you didn't know about it. You didn't do it deliberately. You are ignorantly doing your work. I'm in awareness doing my job. I knew this. He says, you go and live your life however you want. Allow me to be here. After that, the husband goes back, a transformed man, it says. So this poem is, and that three people talking, where Lal's husband is saying, no light equals the light of the sun. No pilgrimage is there like the one to the Ganga. No relative excels a brother. And there is no comfort like that of a wife. Is the husband telling. This is like a dialogue. So he's telling there is no light that is as bright as the sun. There is no pilgrimage, Tirth Yatra like that to river Ganga, going and bathing in Ganga. There is no relative as close and as precious as a brother. And there is no comfort like that of a wife. So the Kulaguru was there. He talks and he says, no light parallels the light of one's eyes. Now, husband is telling the son, he's telling there is no light powerful than the light in one's eyes. And there is no pilgrimage like that on one's knees. Kulguru is telling there is no pilgrimage than one which is done on one's knees. Gutna Tek, that he's talking about surrender. Not like today's pilgrimage where we go in helicopter and all those comforts. And then he says, there is no relative better than one's own pocket. Kulguru says. And finally, he says, there is no comfort like that of a warm blanket. So this is his state of consciousness, which he's talking about. Previous was his state of consciousness, what he's talking about, husband. So Kulguru is talking about, according to his idea, what is there. For him, the best comfort, because he doesn't have a wife, he says the best comfort is sleeping cozily in a warm blanket. And no relative, koi banda sakha koi nahi hai. Best relative is my pocket, whom I can depend on anytime. And Ma Laleshwari says, there is no light like the knowledge of the ultimate truth. There is no pilgrimage like the love of the Supreme. And there is no relative or comfort like the Lord himself. So that's her state of consciousness. Her pilgrimage is to that Lord which is within, and her whole embracing of that relative is God. Her whole comfort that she feels is God. And her light of truth is nothing but the knowledge of truth that is emanating from within. So this is her state of consciousness. These are her poems which I'm reading from. So she was strictly against all kind of rituals, especially sacrifices, all kind of sacrifices. She completely went against it. So she rebelled completely against all kind of sects and cults and traditions and cultures and anything that made a barrier between any kind of consciousness, between human, animal, whatever. She discarded it. And to one person who was offering some animal sacrifice and who was a pandit, and she was very, very strict. She was very rebellious. She's compared to Kabir. A lot of resemblance has been done with Ma and Kabir. Kabir also left his body like this. He disintegrated. And he was against any kind of discrimination. He had Hindus as well as Muslim followers. He was open with all and he was one with all. And he spoke very daredevil, open truths. He used to pull down all the mediators, between the seeker and the God, all the mediators he always put down. Even Laleshwari, you can see her in many of her texts. She's hinting at gurus, hinting at saints, hinting at pandits, and all this. I know this kind. You can see the Osho also is in that manner, rebellious, quite rebellious, and quite straight with the truth. So, in fact, Osho has described her also, Laleshwari, somewhere. Yeah, I noted this down where Osho has talked something about. See, Osho compared Lord Mahavira and Laleshwari. See this. He used to say both are same. Not about incarnations. I'm not talking about the stature of their consciousness is the same. Both were naked, used to say. Lord Mahavira, Laleshwari. Same kind of nature. See, I had noted this down. Osho compared Mahavir and Lalla and says Mahavira and the great woman mystic of Kashmir, Lalla, both are exactly the same. Both are masculine types. Mardangi, bolte na mard hai. Bhagavan Nityananda said this very clearly. A man is not a man until he has hankering behind truth and attempting to realize the self. Man is not a man, he is a woman, he says. But if a woman is hankering after the self and after self-realization, she is a man. Chidakasha Gita. See the resemblance. Malala was that. And here see Osho is also talking the same. Both are masculine types. Mahavira lived naked. Lala also lived naked. She is the only woman mystic who lived naked. Both of them were the same type, the meditative type. Osho also said that Mohammedans don't allow even the faces of their women to be seen, but they worship Lalla equal to Allah. The woman must have impressed the whole of Kashmir tremendously. I have traveled all over Kashmir and I have read it repeatedly again and again that Kashmir knows only two names, Allah and Lalla. She was a great master with great following. And she had one great quality that I appreciate, that she never belonged to any organized religion. She was an independent master. Still, people from all religions had to worship. They had to worship. One of the poem of Balala. Okay, I'll go on till 12. Okay, so there's 35 minutes for me. In case anybody's drowsy, they can sleep off. In one of the poems, she says, Shiva abides in all that is everywhere. Then do not distinguish between a Hindu and Muslim. If you are wise, know thyself. That is the true knowledge of the Lord. What books taught me, I have practiced. What they didn't teach me, I taught myself. I have gone to the forest and wrestled with the lion. I didn't get this far by teaching one thing and doing one thing. This was a direct hit that she used to give to all the preachers of those times, the gurus and saints and all the mystics of that time, especially the Sufi masters and all that. So very beautifully, she said, what the books taught me, I have practiced. And what it didn't teach me, I taught myself. I've gone to the forest and wrestled with the lion, practically. I didn't get this far by teaching one thing and doing another. Coming to practice what you preach. In Chidakasha Gita, it's mentioned, say what you do and do what you say. And where the animal sacrifice was going, she shouted at a Pandit saying, oh, you dull Pandit, you offer a living ram or a goat to the lifeless stone. Means the idol. They cut an animal and offer it to an idol. So he's telling you, oh, you dull Pandit, you offer a living goat to a lifeless stone. It will cover you in woolens and shield you against the cold. He's telling, what stupidity. You're killing an animal that can be of so much use to you. It will cover, it will give you wool and cover you in cold. It will feed on grass, and it will feed on water and natural grass and crumbs. Means it lives on simple water, grass, and crumbs. So she asks, who has advised you to sacrifice a live lamb as an offering to a dead rock? She's calling the idol, the god idol, as dead rock. So she was direct whenever she had to give these messages. And she was completely against all kind of rituals, all ritualistic, but she never, I mentioned this somewhere, she never insulted any faith. She never said, this is not good, to places where there were not fanaticism. That means, unless people were blindly following it and they were lost in it, she never made these kind of narration. But if you saw people are blindly doing some worship and just following it because the whole world is following, the whole religion is following, and they don't have an idea what they're doing, conscious about it, she used to break out there. But wherever she is, it's mentioned, there is selfless bhakti, devotion. She never objected to it. So if somebody is worshipping some stone or an idol or an image with selfless bhakti, which is purely the word that is used by Bhagavan Nityananda in Chidakasha Gita, that you must develop selfless bhakti. And he says in one verse, which I had read before, he says, in the start, the seeker has selfish bhakti. Selfish bhakti towards anything, the Ishta, the Guru, the God. I want this from you. I want health, wealth, success, relation, abundance, prosperity. So I go and make a guru. I go into a religion. I go into a temple, mosque, church, a gurdwara. I approach every god for my selfish purpose. And Bhagavan Nityananda has discarded it. He says, until this selfish bhakti turns into selfless bhakti, where it is unconditional, I don't need anything from you, where that love for God or Guru comes without any need. I want to see you. I want to receive you. I want to see your love. I want to receive your love. I want to receive this grace also from. That is also selfish. Even if you go to any Ishta, Guru, God, give me grace. You are going for your own selfish purpose. That is what Chidakasha Gita strongly discards, and it tells, until you develop para bhakti, which is selfless bhakti, nothing is going to work out. And exactly Upadeshasaram stresses on this. All those who have not done Upadeshasaram, don't miss this chance. 3 days, 17, 18, 19, 24 days. May spend it 3 hours there. And you'll understand this whole depth and secrets of what Ramana Maharshi brought out from one extract of Shiva Puran, from one story, and then he elaborated through many verses from the Bhagavad Gita. Upadeshasaram is a mixture of from Bhagavad Gita. Details from there he has taken, and he has taken and mashed everything in such a way, very simple, profound truths. He has, instead of elaborated scripture, he has just condensed it in 30 verses. The whole inspiration he has taken from that incident of Rishis and Lord Shiva from Shiva Puran. That we'll talk about it later, in case you have that interest in it. So when it came to idol worship, image worship, she was strongly discouraged, because that's how she reached that state. So these are hints for seekers that if you want to achieve that state of that Supreme Lord, then you have to directly go into that zone instead of beating around the bush. But yes, if you have a lot of fears, if you are still not ready for it, then it's okay. Beat around the bush. Do all kind of ritual, karma kanda, everything. But then if you are fallen into that bracket, then Bhagavan Nityananda advises, and even Ma Laleshwari advises, pure, selfless bhakti. That intention has to be changed. Otherwise, that karma kanda is not going to take you in. That's a simple message. Lala was no begot, and to her all religions were of one essential element. She believed that by whatever name the worshipper may call the Supreme, he is still the Supreme and he alone can give release. Let him take the name of Shiva or Keshava or of Jinnah or the lotus spawn god, whatever name he take. So here she's stressing. So these are all through her poetries. She's telling whatever name you take, it's not going to. And in one, she even says, even if you call out Shiva, Shiva, Shiva eternally, he will not come. You will not get him. And when I read this today, this I had not heard before. Today I was just looking into some text, and then this came. The song immediately came, which I just sung last month, and that was not there in the lyrics. It was Maula Maula Lakh Purkare, Maula Hath Na Aaye. शब्दों से हम खेल रहे हैं माना हाथ ना है. Meaning has not come. We are just playing with words. तो मौला मौला लाख पुरा मौला हाथ ना है. तो I just added गुरु गुरु लाख पुकारे गुरु हाथ ना है. शिवा 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 लाख पुकारे शिवा हाथ ना है. And exactly I saw this today where she's saying you call Shiva 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 eternally also you'll never not get it. You do any kind of mantra japa tapa for eternally also you're not going to get him. He said you'll get by directly connecting to that nirguna nirakara Shiva. She thought that her every experience became a devotion to the Lord, and with all these endeavors, it led her to illumine her path and become one with nature. She says, whatever work I did became worship of the Lord. Whatever word I uttered became the mantra. That's exactly what we are trying to say all these days. Upadesha Saram also says this, that instead of you become the chanter, become the doer of a mantra or reciter or the worshipper or the sadhana doer or meditation doer. Instead of that, you become the practice itself. You become the mantra itself. That is where Sasadi Mala comes. Swaso ki mala mein simru mein tera naam. Kabir was exactly in this line, whatever we are hearing today. Ever one with the Great Spirit, Great Lal converted her body into light in her last days. Just like the medieval masters, Kabir and Mirabai. She still resides in a body of consciousness and listens and replies to the call of truth seekers. Among recorded history, she personally met Swami Vishnu Tirth Maharaj, the great saint of the Shaktipat tradition in the present era, on the way to Kedarnath. So Kedarnath is where she is believed to have met Vishnu Tirth Maharaj, from whose lineage I got this book and the whole thing came out from there. She is ever in a state of Sahaj Samadhi and can manifest her physical form for the benefit of some devotees. So this is where I'm trying to tell. It says that even Yoganand Paramahamsa has written about her in Autobiography of Yogi. I don't remember. I'll have to look it up. Even he has mentioned. So when we come to this kind of a statement saying that, this emphasizes even my belief in what I always felt about her, that she's around, her presence and those experiences. And what I was trying to say, that even in the start, even if you have an intensity, you never know, even if they come in a physical form, because first of all, you don't know how they look. Even if you know how they look, that is just an image form in your head, and they need not take that form. Like I always say, if Shiva has to come, he will never come with snake around his head and a trishul and jatadari and that, So if he comes in the form of a beggar, If he comes in the form of a weird looking man or a stranger, if you don't have enough awareness, and if we do not develop that insight of looking at the godliness in everybody, we will miss the whole thing. So we will never know. And let us think, even if he comes in the same form that you are so fanatic about, I'm sure you'll still ask the Aadhaar card. What is the proof that you're Shiva? What is how can it be if you're not, how do I know if you're not a person who's coming from some drama or some Veshbhusha? We will never know. I'm telling you, even if he really comes also that, still this ego mind will never. So there is no use in the form this way or that way. Anyways, in the formlessness only is the teaching to see that Shiva in everyone. Upadesha Saram is talking about that. Kalagyan talked about that. Bhagavan Nityananda talks about that. He says instead of saying Aham Brahmasmi, see Shiva in everyone, see God in everyone. And here she's seeing the same. She's also talking the same, being on the formless. And she herself, she still resides in a body of consciousness and listens and replies to the call of truth seekers. So this cannot be untrue. This is what I'm trying to say. Call means it's not like you call and she will whisper into your ear. Maybe that might happen, but I'm not talking about that zone. I'm talking it can be answered in multiple ways. That's a cosmic intelligence. That is how things lead to another. So many things. I've seen miracles in my own life where things have gone to such dead end that there's no hope. Now, no point of return. And suddenly everything changes. Something changes, and who knows who might be doing it? Who might be coming in what form? We might not know. It might be a stranger who's coming, show me the way. And you're showing the way, and that person keeps a hand or shakes your hand and say, thank you. Who knows who's that who just came and touched you at back? God knows. We will never know. And they don't have ego to come and show that I am God or I am so and so. I am coming here to help you. They are not bothered. That is why they come in disguise. So this path of awareness is so important, because until you are aware, you'll never catch this. Now, a person who's constantly in awareness, living in awareness, can discriminate. The buddhi, the viveka can show something. Even if you don't see something, you will look at everything from a neutral point of view without jumping into conclusion. Like her whole life, you can see she has never jumped into conclusion. So here, yeah, she met Vishnutirth Maharaj and near Kedarnath, and she is ever in a state of Sahaj Samadhi and can manifest her physical form for the benefit of some devotees. Now, if anybody has any questions on this or any doubts on today, whatever I talked about, you can let me know. We have a couple of minutes. If anybody wants to share anything or say anything, you do that. You just have to press the unmute and
I want to say something.
here we.
Hi.
Hi.
I was very touched and moved during the during your story, how you were telling it, and so I realized that I almost had kind of like a out of body experience where I felt really free and oh man, I want to cry.
Do that.
and and empowered, and it was it was uh it was just um really beautiful just everything about it. And so I also kept thinking about what you said, I think it was yesterday, how Buddha said, I kept thinking about light. And and then for some reason I came across yesterday I came across some videos about Thailand and ladyboys. And I was watching these them being interviewed, and in their community, most of them are just accepted for the way they are, and they have this heart that, practicing Buddhism, that they're human and we're all human, so just respect each other and for the way you are. And then so I when I felt out of my body, I didn't feel any pain, but then it was the ego that became aware of the freeness that I was feeling. And then it was kind of um like coming back, but I felt my body was hurting. So I still feel a little bit of like heaviness, like sweating.
Okay.
But yeah.
That's good of you to share all those things, all those details. I'm sure many in this room will have that because the divine presence is there. And this has happened in before also in previous some sessions where people have had strange kind of experiences. Even yesterday, we had some people having those experiences in inner child, and some of them reported healings happening. And somebody who was traumatized by childhood trauma, just after that session, the whole pain that was there for long just vanished. And all those things, it happens when we are attuned to this. Especially today's session, I knew there's something special about this being. I don't know, I love this being. I love this presence at all time. And it's so mysterious because they don't show themselves up, and they don't have anything to boast about. We might boast about so many things. I might boast about her, but they are not interested in anything like these things. So their presence is always there where there is talk or yearning about truth and simplicity, purity, divinity. And when one is striving to reach to that end, there are these divine presences that will make everything so smooth. We just have to trust this journey, the whole thing. And these experiences that we have also is a part of it. But I always say become a witness to it, because we can have the tendency of getting carried away with them, because sometimes they are odd and sometimes they are just out of the blue, and sometimes it can overwhelm and we might be new to it. But you'll continue having these kind of experiences, especially if you're very well attuned, even without the sessions. If you are just sitting in awareness, and I would suggest all the people who feel connected to this, there's this great mystic named Laleshwari Ma. If you just sit in silence and don't even identify, because there are no pictures of her also in the internet proper. They're all painting in somebody's imagination. We don't even know how she looks. So that's the consciousness of that being. Such a pure being, such a pure being who taught the world in so many different ways. Who just came to this earth and just vanished, and vanished, not gone, even because these texts are saying that she's there, and her consciousness is alive and alert, there for those who seek. And at the same time, there, this mystic whose book I was reading, Vishnu Tirth Maharaj, says right now, because he is able to see through all the lifetimes of all these great mystics. So it's not a wonder when he was actually dictating this whole thing to his disciple, he also mentioned that she's there right now in Siberia. So it was back then. We do not know if she's still there or she has taken some body. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter where she is. And even there is another mystic called Trailokya Baba, whom Vishnu Tirth Maharaj talks a lot about in his texts. And he says he's somewhere right now present in the jungles of Karnataka and Kerala border. So we don't know. And he's supposed to be the great master of all the initiators, all the great gurus of Shaktipa. He is supposed to be the main person behind that, and he is in the physical form. So we do not know. These are all mysticism, actually, and we only have these hints coming from these great masters through these books, and it's only because of uh, oh, this is the book. It's last composition. It's called Last Composition because this was the last composition of Vishnu Tirth Maharaj. After this, he left his body, and these books or these things are not much available because these people are not publicizing anything. This whole ashrams like these function very quietly. They have their own kind of people and they have their own kind of practice or whatever. But again, there are a lot of signals that have been given through these books also, and like advices to the ashrams and advices to the disciples, advices to the seekers, how to keep yourself very conscious and alert, otherwise you can slip. The whole thing can go for a toss. It talks even about ashrams getting distorted, and many things are there in the which is like a message given to them. No, I'm not I don't I don't feel authorized to talk about this because this is some other what you call sect. So I don't want to pinpoint anything that is this. Why I just talked here what can matter to us, the seekers of truth and light. The one another thing that anyways, thank you Ruby for sharing your experiences. Is there anything that you were continuing or did I interrupt? That's it.
No, that's it.
Enjoy.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, enjoy your journey. Don't worry much about it. Things will happen. Just be a witness. Just observe things. There are a lot of mystical things will happen. She was a Hindu Brahmin, but did not link herself to any sect. Neither did she start any religious sect of her own or cult of her own. She used to consider the confines of country, community, caste, etc., as barricades in spiritual progress. She had risen much above the narrow mindedness of being a Hindu or a Muslim. Yes, it may be that knowing her inclination towards Sufi sect and its principle, some people may have imagined that Lal had converted to Islam. She was worshipped and respected equally by both communities. It has been mentioned earlier also that Lal was against rituals, idol worships, pilgrimages, etc. Actually, in her own sadhana, she had progressed to a state where all these spiritual practices becomes meaningless. It is natural for a person to talk from the level that he has attained. The view while looking down from the top of a mountain will naturally differ from the view that one is while looking up, if standing at the base of the same mountain. In her earlier lives, Lal had also undertaken these spiritual practices. See, look at this. But now she had moved far ahead of all this. This is what I'm saying. Even if in this Jarma, if somebody is not having that affinity, it doesn't mean that these practices are not being done. Or somebody told me, oh, you're bypassing these things and you're directly trying. I said, how do you know whether I've done these practices in my previous lifetime or not? How do you know? So you cannot judge anybody by that. So here she's saying the same. In her earlier multiple lives, Lal had also taken these spiritual practices, but now she had more far ahead from all this. Her heart was only intensely consumed in the blaze of her love for God. She did not have the time to carry out any rituals or do any other practices. At any point of time, even if she tried doing this, she would find it to be a nuisance. Her emotions of love had devoured the spiritual practices of all kinds and forms. Fact of the matter is that she was not against these spiritual practices, but she was against the ostentation and hypocrisy prevalent in them. This is what I'm trying to tell. Her orientation was inward, and she expected the others also to turn within. Because she said her guru had given her only one major practice which she caught with her heart and soul and followed that. And that was, the Guru said, from outside, turn within. That's it. The whole Mahamantra. And she said, I just followed what he said. Now she has very great respect for her Guru, Srikant Guruji. In one text, she is also saying that I attained this stage because of the grace of my Guru. See the humility there also, because she is the one who teached the Guru the final path to liberation. She overtook that and she taught, but still she is considering is the grace of the Guru. This is a clear indication that Guru is not a body. She is talking about the tattva. That also is there. I'll explain it here. So I'll complete it. The purpose of the path of yoga, internal yoga, is to detach the living beings away from where they are attached and to attach them to that from where they are separated. Means whatever you are connected to, you let go of that and attach that not here, my people, my place, my things, my possessions. Don't attach it here. Attach it to where it came from. This is viraha. He says, the burning desire to know God or to realize God, the intense pain of separation from God or the supreme being. From the point when the feeling of this separation dawns on him to the point when the intensity of this pain reaches its pinnacle, an aspirant carries all kind of spiritual practices. Sometimes he undergoes pilgrimages or conducts religious ceremonies or embarks on spiritual practices of yoga. Although these practices may not help in achieving the goal, but they definitely contribute towards intensifying his interest. So what is he saying here? He's saying that even if these kind of practices may help or not, that's a different story altogether. But it will surely help them intensify towards the ultimate goal, Nirlamba Yoga. So here we have again crystal clear clarity about all this. Further on, this interest takes the form of viraha. That is that that intense pain of feeling the separate from the divine. At this point, all spiritual practices crumble and look meaningless. The aspirant makes an effort again and again, climbs up and falls down many times. Such failures in spiritual practice only act as the foundation for his success in the future. In the end, all efforts converge into intense grief of separation from the divine. Spiritual practices and efforts are left far behind, and constant memory of God emerges within. That means there's only one tattva, day in, day out, 24/7. Rest all follow. Actually, all practices, worships, yogic procedures, reading of spiritual books, etc., are acts of self-effort, means that worship, and are only meant to awaken this feeling of separation. It is separation from the Lord. So it is only taking you all these, even book readings or whatever we call, it's all only leading you to the final goal of viraha. Listen carefully, the seekers. This was lull state. Having studied ascetic spiritual practices during her many past lives, she had turned her spiritual energy, orientation, focus within, and soon enough had reached a state where she was agonized by the pain of separation from the divine. This is why she said, Guru instructed me to go within from without. Because the feeling of love is within, the fire of separation with the Supreme is felt within. Moreover, he is only perceived within. Nirguna, Nirakara, the Supreme Consciousness, can only be perceived within. Lal's Guru was not outside of her, but within her. Exactly what Ramana is constantly be talking all his life. The outer Guru only gives a nudge and push towards your inner Guru, and the inner Guru pulls you from outside to inside. And when that happens perfectly, the inner guru is activated. The moment the inner guru is activated, the work of the outer guru is over, because that dynamo, which was not happening, he came to rekindle that fire. He came to activate the guru and the divine within. The day that happens, the work is accomplished. And then this inner guru does all the rest of the work. Everything is done by the inner guru, including the final yatra of Atma Vichara. If you remember, I told very clearly, only till Vishuddhi we can do the doership. From there, it's all from within, non-dual aspect. Something takes over. Only when that something inside takes over, that can give a proper channel and guidance to the final yatra towards moksha. So that is why I said, I don't believe personally that Atma Vichara can be taught by anyone. Atma Vichara, the self-inquiry, which is the final stage after the Vishuddhi. I repeatedly says this, and now also I'm saying, all paths bring you to only a common point. Like the Himalayan yogi told me, all the paths will only lead you to purification of the mind. सारे पथ आपको, सारे साधन, सारे तपस आपको सिर्फ चित्त शुद्धि तक ले जाएगा. उसके बाद एक भीतर की यात्रा है. That is precisely what we're talking here. Let me continue. The spiritual practices carried out with self-effort only and enhance the interest of the aspirant. Means the doership that we begin with, that can only enhance the interest. The moment of going within from without, means from outside going inside, is controlled by the guru who resides within. The inner progress towards self-realization is also subject to the guru's blessing. He only motivates to go within, pushes within from outside. Residing within, he pulls from within and is perceived only within. Precisely what Ramana talks about. Precisely. All actions, thoughts, emotions are generated by the inner guru. In the inner guru, it is he who lights the fire of love, and he only creates the intense pain of separation from the Lord. It seems that there might be a slight misunderstanding in the writing, comprehending in the above words of the Guru to Lal. Many people enumerating these words did not grasp them properly, and so they wrote, go within from without. I believe, this is Vishnu Tirth Maharaj, Shivam Tirth Maharaj speaking. I believe that its actual form should be come within from without. So people, when they say from outside the pull inside, he's saying it is actually from within the without, from you pull from outside. And Ramana has talked about both these zones. He says the outer guru nudges you, pushes you towards your inner guru. And what Shivam Tirmara says, I believe, is he's saying the inner guru pulls you inside. There. So both are correctly in one or the other form. I believe that the actual form should be come within from outside, because the guru pulls in from within. He prompts the aspirant to give up the gross material world outside and calls towards the inner subtle self. Guru's seat is within, so his call also comes from within. Once Lal said, the devotees and ascetics go from temple to find God, but God resides within them. Human body is the greatest temple, which what we are doing in the webinars called Living in Your Divine Presence. We are activating this same tattva, living in my divine presence. I first become aware of my divine presence, and then I live in that divine presence. Means I become aware of the God within me, and then I live in the presence of that God. This every month I do. If you're interested, you can join the webinar. Living in the divine presence, we call it. So there are some mentions, like I was saying, or declaration on 7 occasions was that she saw the pond merge into Mahashunya. Pond, she is referring to herself in a poetic way. So it says here, the great void or nothingness is nothing but a reflection of her state of her inner self. It is a symbolic statement. So the pond merging into Mahashunya. So here, what are we talking all these days? If you remember, people who are consistent, the Chidakasha and the Mahakasha. Chidakasha is the pond, Mahakasha is the universe, the Mahashunya. So merging with that, Mahashunya, nothingness. What is nothingness? What is in the Mahashunya? The Nirguna, Nirakara, Shiva consciousness. Lal had been a yogini or a female spiritual adept for many past lifetimes who had been destined to observe and endure the sufferings of her various births and deaths. She was constantly aware of the entire series of events. Guru advised me to go within from outside, and I took this advice in my heart and I threw away my clothes and overwhelmed with emotions, I danced all around. This is her expression. So here Shivamtit Maharaj is explaining throwing her clothes doesn't just mean the physical clothes. It is more deeper than that. So he's saying on the counsel of her Guru, the Guru said, turn within from outside, turn away from all the material and go within. Lal turned her face away from the world and started her inner journey. And when she did that, all the blankets of accumulated impressions and perversions and desires and wishes and confusions and delusions began to come off. This is what is meant by throwing away of her clothes. Her chitta started to become pure. See, this is so symbolic. And she's saying, I threw my clothes and danced around. Threw my clothes, I threw all my vasanas, my desires from my chitta. I discarded it. All the bodily relations, everything, the connection, the attachments, everything, I threw it apart. And when I threw it apart, I was in ecstasy. I danced in ecstasy. Now it also says, composing these poems was not a result of an arrogant effort of her own to worship, but it was a kriya, a spontaneous action of the awakened Shakti or the divine power within her. It can be said that Lal's poetry was an external manifestation of her internal feelings. The feelings of her sentimental heart exhibited themselves through the words of her poetry. Okay, I'm sorry, I was continuing. If anybody wants to say anything, it's already 12. I can go ahead with it. Okay, I read all your messages. Knowledge of the past life is very confusing even to enlightened souls. Thanks for sharing. One can understand some incidents which happen and we wonder why. It is all because if is all to do with past karmas. I felt witnessing everything you were telling live, getting goosebumps. Yes, but this doesn't end here. This is just the beginning with Lalleshwari. There's a lot more to continue because I truly believe that the whole process of the shifting into awareness is all inspired by her. And I don't know, and I don't want to know. Whatever is that will, I'm just proceeding. I don't want to put any of my head into this because so be it, whatever it is. And that is how I can see all these connections coming. And to share with you, dear ones, what I shared today, if you observe, we have been sharing the same details in so many different ways. First, I used to talk about this, and then people used to bombard me, and I had lot of troubles where people were trying to shut me down or shut my work down, and directly, indirectly, and all that. And still, somehow, something kept going until all the scriptures started coming, all these divine books started coming, Ramana Tattva started coming, and then Upadesha Saram, Kalagyana. There is still more, Ulludu Narpudu and all that. I'll be doing this time in one of the most profound texts, Ulludu Narpudu, one of the best work of Ramana Maharishi. That I'll be taking up in the two retreats, June and July, Tirunamalai retreats, which is completely, we are settling down in the space, and there we are having no Vishavasanas. 3 days, completely detached out of all these worldly tasks and all that, and we simmer down and we get to experience what is it if we do not have 1 day of no Vishavasanas, 2 days of no Vishavasanas, and 3 days of no Vishavasanas, but just this kind of a, what do you call, profound experience of living in this space, in this divine space. We would, or we should experience that, because we don't get an opportunity in this world. We have so many. Here also you'll see, even if you want to sit for a life, there are so many distractions. If not something, even your sleep will disturb you or distract you. Or maybe the time, or maybe your hunger. All these things are distraction. These are all got to do with samsara only. These are all Vishavasanas. Anything that you attend towards your body also comes under Vishavasana. So it is very difficult to go into that zone, what Ramana is talking, what Arunachala is talking about. That is the reason we chose that place of retreat in Tirunamalai, because that's the whole surrounded, that whole area is blessed with that. It's Lord himself, Shiva himself, in that Jyoti Swarupa, which is Arunachala mountain. So it's like, and our retreats also are just near that foothill only. It's not very far also. So we are in the vicinity of that place, and we are doing this satsang sitting right under the foot of Shiva himself. And however he guides, whatever he guides, 3 days staying immersed in that. It's a different blissful thing. I'm sorry I couldn't explain about this earlier, because I was so busy in all these activities. I just forgot about Tirunamalai. The other day I got a message about it, and then I looked up it. I said, oh my God, I didn't look at it. And I called up Raj Lakshmi there, and I said, oh my God, what's up? Anything done there and all that? So everything got set up just yesterday. So I didn't give enough time to that, or I would have marketed it a little more nicely, or advertised a little more acha publicity. Some I would have done ऐसा करके, and got a few more people in that. We have all done this. I've done this all my life, but in this we are. I'm okay. We have some Mumbai groups coming from on July. It's arranged for them. So a couple of them are coming that time. Actually, I wanted to just have one batch that is in July, but for some reason it got distributed. Some had time here, time there, and then I just had to split out. Now I said, okay, whatever it is, even if one group is small and one group is big, we'll just go with it. July is going to be a big one, and June is a smaller one. Whoever it is, even 7, 10, 12, whatever people, we will be there. We will just go with it exactly as scheduled. मुझे बहाना मिलता है, it's for me, it's nice, like 3 days I get there and full, I can be engrossed in this. So even if I don't have retreat, every month I go there without retreats also. So if anybody is interested, you can anytime even pitch in the last moment, no issues. There's plenty of space and time and all that for that. And if you need any information regarding that, you can put it up here. So we will be doing Ulludanarpudu and some deeper texts and meditations and experimenting with it, how it is. Less rest is all his will, Arunachala's will, however it happens. And yes, Lalleshwari, I'll continue. There is still a lot about her. So in the coming sessions, I will still continue with her. And Chidakasha Gita, I'm having 3 days session that is in next month. So I have that strong feel that we can do Chidakasha Gita and the meditations of Chidakasha, how it can be done. But I want to keep it in the next month, because I've flooded too many things right now, and it's too much clogged, and people might say, what's this one after the other? And maybe many people are not even ready about it. Yeah, Nitaji.
Pranamji. just a word of thanks and so immense gratitude. It's almost living through the experience. It was felt so connected.
You have
I don't
read
know,
this
no
book
words.
already, right?
Yeah, I somehow it by blessings of Ma, I this book reached me, and I was since then she's always been there. Somehow I feel so
She's
connected
there.
to her.
She's there. She's there. But reading book is another, and the sessions are
Yeah,
different
yeah.
because
This
what
is
has
a
to flow
beautiful.
will flow. What is needed
Yeah,
will come. What is not needed will not come. And precisely, my eyes was ending up in some pages, some notes. I was randomly reading it from there. Whatever I read today. That's how I go. What's supposed to come comes. I'm happy. I'm happy if it's helping because it's not I'm not doing anything. It's just your attunement. Whoever is sitting with that proper pure devotion, intention, and attunement, it just happens. The mediator doesn't do anything. Our work is only to what is it? Instigate it or make a platform for it. That's all the limitation that we do, and that also is happening through her only. Otherwise, I don't know all these things how it can get set up. So it will happen. That's what I'm telling everybody. Just be attuned to the truth wherever you are. It's beyond time and space. It'll just come onto you, and some or the other things will come and fix you up in the right places. You don't even have to worry. Oh, I've done this. I've learned this. Now what next? Where do I go next from here? Nothing to worry about. Everything. See, so we are talking about everyone at once. We are talking so much about this destiny that is predestined. What Ramana is so much emphasized that everything is predestined. And when Upadesh Saram, you know how it is predestined. Though it looks like I have so much of free will, I can do anything I want. We say, no, 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 I don't believe in that. I can create. Then why did Malal not create? How did she tell the Kulaguru when she was dying and she left her uh, आप ऐसे बैठिए ना ऐसे क्यों बैठे हो when she was dying, she told the Kuluguru that this person is who I'll tell you later. Means 7 janmas later also she knew. Not just Sanma, 7. She knew about till her end. But 7th episode, the whole thing story is going to come out and the karma is going to get released. She knew it. Till then she's in the bondage. So 6, 7 janmas, she knew she's in bondage, but she didn't do anything about it. Now, isn't this destiny? If somebody can see it there, and if I see my destiny, our understanding is if I see my destiny, oh, I can see my future. Now I can go and change my future. You can't. If it was possible, then somebody of the stature of Ma Laleshwari, couldn't she have done it? But she's bore through everything because she knows that gift of Trikaldarshi itself is a grace. That's a grace. That grace does not give her a power. She cannot misuse it. She's so humble that she's going with that grace. She has that knowledge, but she's not misusing it. So this gives us a very clear picture of what Upadesha Saram is talking is perfectly fine. I've had many people who are disagreeing with me, and many people argued about it. Many people wrote to me about it. How is this? And how do you do this? And whatever. Why this is a reaction that we get because we have been in some strong belief. And we have heard it from so many places that this is our belief. And they will say, are you bigger than this person or that person that I heard it from? Do you think you're so big to tell? I'm not saying anything. That is why I'm referring to all these books. Who am I to say anything? But I used to very strongly feel all these things. And when I said, even I was in doubt because when people started telling me, what are you saying? Even I felt in doubt. And I shut my mouth. I said, oh, yeah, I'm not sure. But when these things come, it's absolutely crystal clear. So that's what I'm saying. If I am a seeker of truth and if I'm seeking truth, that truth will come and fall in my lap. That is my personal experience. And no power can stop it. Even if somebody doesn't like it, doesn't want, you prevent, try to do anything, it has to come, it will come. That is destiny. That's prarabdha. That's destined to happen this way. So once we have this conviction, then it's very easy to navigate. And then you don't even go in that mode. We need not go in that mode. Oh, everything is puppet, like a puppet. Everything is predestined. No, what is my role in this? The same role that Laleshwari had. But her spirit was still intact in that. And you can see she had a little gap of free will, which she was exercising all the time in that. But that was limited, but she, larger picture she couldn't change. Like, for example, when that pot broke and she felt bad and she couldn't take it anymore. That means she had that free will. That personality was still there. Oh, I'm feeling hurt. She felt hurt. And she decided, I will leave now. Enough is enough. That shows free will. But that free will again is designed and controlled by the divine will. It is a part and parcel of that. That from there it comes. But I feel I'm not doing it. I'm inspired to do that. So very beautifully it explained. Thank you, Anita ji.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, Ira.
Hello,
Yeah, Prasanna, 1 minute.
hello, Bhaiya.
Yeah, Ira, tell me.
I can't even tell. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Thank you so much, first of all. Really great. Pleasure.
Right.
It's so
Great.
elevating, so elevating. I've got few questions, if you don't
Yeah,
mind
please.
answering.
Go ahead.
And every day I've got many questions, but probably I can fit in
No
a couple
problem.
because
But
it's quite late as
even
well.
if it is late here, I'm here. If
Oh,
anybody
you
wants
are
to go
so
off also,
kind.
you can see the recording.
Yeah,
It will be there
so
in
good. So
YouTube. If it is getting late for people, I understand. So you can leave. Anybody who wants to leave. You continue. Ira, you
right.
continue.
Bhaiya, what I wanted to ask you was, obviously everything is Guru's grace and Lord's grace. You know, this is a very simple, humble question, which came to my mind that, you know, I was doing all the mantras on the chakras, and I understand it's Guru's grace. It must have led me to Chit Shuddhi that I'm here today. But, you know, simple practice of just a bit of awareness, because I'm pretty new to it. Doing just focusing on your eyes the way you have told me, and then looking
Yeah.
all the walls and everything.
Yeah.
That also seems to give so much bliss,
Yes.
happiness, which is an experience, I'll say. It's not that it's ultimate.
Yes.
But I mean, I could not make sense of it. Why would that happen? And even doing chakras and doing all the जिसे कहते हैं ना सिद्ध मंत्र, because they used to we call them सिद्ध मंत्र, जिसने गुरु ने सिद्ध किए हुए ना. But इस simple practice से जो आपको
नहीं, it's not exactly that way. ये जो आप अभी सिंपल कह रहे हो, ये इतना सिंपल नहीं होता अगर आप वो प्रैक्टिसेस नहीं करते. All the practices have led you here to even this realization. It all plays its role. That is why Ma Lal is talking about her previous janmas where she has done all kind of practices. That means everybody has done it and everybody will do it. Because, and here we just read that, you know, those practices can only inspire the seeker and it will lead them to that viraha, to that yearner seeking. So it is the practices that is leading one there. So when it is led there you might feel that, oh, it's so simple. Why can't it be understood by people? No, it will not be understood by others because they are in that phase. So we can put ourselves in that phase, like let's say 10 years back, 5 years back, or 20 years back. We just put back and see. In those days, could I realize this? No. Even if I would have known this, these books existed, these masters existed, everything, why didn't it come into my hand that time? Because I was not ready for it. What frequency you radiate with, that kind of frequency stuff comes to you. And what we are talking is this high frequency, completely the ultimate truth. This is all Brahma Gyan. If you see, it's going towards Brahma Gyan, Atma Bodh. So when somebody is resonating to that level, and just people can do that. So from here, it might seem very easy. That is what here she said in one of the texts, like everybody talks from their point of understanding and the state of consciousness that they are in. If you're standing on a mountain top, what you look down is a complete different view than for the person who's standing down and looking at the things around. If you see the person who's standing down at the foothill is very limited. You can't see anything. But a person on the top can see everything in clarity. So the higher you go, there is a lot of clarity. So that is why Lal never disappointed anybody who's standing at the foothill also. Even Ramana doesn't admonish. He says, okay, rituals are there. You like rituals, do it. You like yoga, Shirsasan, whatever you like, do it. But he says, when you feel ready, when the things are right for you, it will happen and you will end up here. The final Jnana Marga, which is there, the wisdom of opening of all these, this is all Jnana Marga, what we are talking. The wisdom erupting. Because it says only wisdom can liberate you. Any other, like Bhakti Marga and this and all the Raj Yoga or the Karma
Shukla.
Yoga, they cannot liberate you. They will lead you to Jnana Marga, which will open up the Jnana, and that Jnana will liberate you. That's how it goes. That's the sequence that is given even in Upadesha. Is that clear?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, it's ultimately to do with all that we have done that we get the experience of when we sit in
Yes.
awareness, isn't it?
Yes.
Because,
That
okay.
is why even I have so much of profound love and gratitude towards my master. Because if you would have never entered my life, it would have been very difficult to even ascertain certain things, because he opened up, he cleared the glass for me, he cleared the lens for me. So that gratitude will always be there towards him.
Absolutely.
Maybe what he's all taught 100 things, maybe not all the 100 things I'm doing right now, because I don't need it right now. But that doesn't mean I have no this for him. That consideration is there. So once upon a time, I went through all that.
Always grateful, absolutely.
Not just him, my Pratham Guru also, Mohan Swami. There was a Mohan Swami, there's a yogi who lives here, and he was my first Guru. He guided me for 1 year before I went to Ganeshpuri. Then Ganeshpuri, if you see Bhagavan Nityananda, he was like a second Guru. And from there, he led me to my almost like chronically third Guru, which is Avadhut Shivanand, from where I got Diksha and all those things. And it continues. Now, if you see that way, I'm guided to the next. I'm even looking at from Ramana Maharshi, whom I can consider my next Guru. So until I am not stuck in the bodies, that's not going to make any difference. The tattva is the same in all. So that realization will happen. But other people can get confused. What is this? This is something different. You've not caught it. It's like the same story. From the mountain you can see, from down you can't see. So if somebody can't see, you say, okay, it's okay. We have compassion for that. Maybe one day you'll see it when you climb up.
Absolutely. No, I've started to develop compassion with people who are not on this path, thanks to you. Because I did realize that people who don't have money, I've got a lot of compassion for them, people who are poor. So why not to people who are poor in spiritual things? So I've expanded, because you did say that actually in one of the talks, when you were talking about Chidakash Gita and things like that. So I just sank in, and then I became more. Because before I was like, why do they waste their time? Why are they not pursuing something which is important, isn't it, in life? I said, no way, I can't
even
say
here,
that.
even
Their
us
karmic
also,
baggage is big.
so many people, they're talking, they say, Kash, ye pehle samajh tha, it's too late, so itna late. Why didn't I understand this? I said, aisa nahi hota.
I said,
It's all the time. Yeah, it's your prarabdha. You have to complete so many things before reaching here. You have to go through those paths, and don't blame that. It's never, my guru used to say, jab jago tab savera.
Absolutely. तो भैया एक और बहुत छोटा सा स्टूपिड क्वेश्चन है, जैसे कि आप कहते हैं ना, ये फीलिंग जब आप अवेयरनेस में ले जाते हो ना, वैसे एक्सपीरियंस पे ज्यादा ध्यान नहीं देना होता, मुझे मालूम है, पर कई बार ना बस वही है, कई बार पूछना है सवाल, जैसे कि बॉडी के अंदर ऐसे एनर्जी ऐसे एनर्जी की फीलिंग आती है अंदर. हाँ जी.
Pulsation.
Of what?
Pulsating feeling.
Pulsating?
Feeling, na?
हाँ. Pulsating feeling, yes. That's energy only, isn't it? Fine. चलो जो भी है, क्या लेना.
That's actually the astral body. We'll talk about it some other time, because now I don't want to get into it. That's what I was actually saying.
Astral bodies means the rest of the bodies. Okay.
Yeah, the causal body, not even the astral body. It's very deep. But now if you go into it, it will distract the whole thing. But it's there. It's a science. It's a causal body's effect when it has on the physical body. That causal body's pulsation is that. What you feel the pulsation, like you feel some energy moving, or it's a groggy, bloggy kind of a stuff that is there. So that's all our sukshma shariras and all those things. Anyways, we are not interested in all that. We need not go into all that. We are not interested in it. Like yesterday, somebody here, I don't know if she's there, from Netherlands, she was there, and we were doing an inner child. I was just briefly telling about opening up the chakras quickly through awareness. And later she told me that, I was not, when you were doing that, I was somehow not interested in it, because I don't want to get into the chakras and all that. From inside only, I'm not interested. I said, it's okay. If you don't want to do it, it's okay. She said, I'm feeling very blissful, and directly the awareness practice, which is there, it's straight to the point. Then why should I go here? I said, fantastic. But everybody is not in that mode. Even I don't need that. But there are times when we need to assist people in the way they get. The whole idea is to clear off all the groggy energy and align you into
Absolutely.
that. So if somebody can do it through the chakras, it's fine. But I understand where she's talking that from, because in Kalagnana, we are told there's nothing. So let me just finish. You also said that 15th point of Kalagnana, where Lord Shiva is telling Ma Parvati, instead of following this direct path, do not ever contemplate, even in the least, upon chakras located in the 6 adhara centers in the body, the nadis or the subtle nerves that produce the 10 divine sounds such as pranava, the deities associated with the lotus in the adhara chakras beginning with Vinayaka, that is Ganesh, the mantrakshara, the potent sound syllables for the worship of deities, and the diverse mandala murtis, that is the Surya Mandala, Chandra Mandala, Agni Mandala, and all these things. So she was saying, just bypass these. Whom he's telling, he's not telling everybody. He's telling those who can, like you said, I am feeling blissful. I am straight entering into, many people say I can easily enter into samadhi, just concentrating on myself and I am going there. And it's so deep and profound. Why do I need this? Then you don't need it. Shiva is talking to them who doesn't need it. So anyways, thank you. Thank you for your wisdom.
Thank you so much. Very grateful to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So even she was, I'm just continuing for others, like we just mentioned about Ma Lalleshwari talking about no rituals and this and that. Here in 17th verse, Kalagnana, Bhagavan Shiva is telling Parvati, there is no room for performing puja, worshipping of deities, namaskarams or prostrations, japa, dhyana, and so on. Hear from me that the highest truth acclaimed in the Vedas can be known only to jnana, only through wisdom. Hence, there is absolutely no need to know anything outside of yourself. Perfectly attuned with what Ma Lalleshwari is doing. Thank you, Irada. I think Prasanna is there, the last person to talk about. Yeah, Prasanna, please go ahead.
Hello, sir. Namaste. Thank you very much for the session. It was
Thank you.
enlightening.
Thank you.
So, I just have one thing. What I have understood from this. This is my first session with you. So,
okay.
What I have understood is
this first? You're from Hyderabad, right?
Yeah, I'm from Hyderabad.
You're there in Tirunamala, right?
Yes, I'm there.
Okay. Yeah. This is the first time you're attending webinar. Okay.
Yes.
I didn't know that. Okay, fine.
I've attended. I mean, I've heard to couple of videos. So Ma Laleshwari did not mention anything to Guruji about her son initially, but after a few janmas, she did tell him. That means indirectly, Ma Lalleshwari is mentioning that all the relationships are interlinked, right? Sir? That's what I have understood. All the relationships are interlinked and all the karmic deeds are also interlinked.
Absolutely. That is all that she's trying to say. But here, which you say that she told in the 7th janma. No, she told in the 1st janma only. See, she told the Guru that this boy is there. Okay. He's not my son.
Okay.
That month. But she didn't reveal the whole detail. She said, I'll tell when the time comes. That means she knows now the son and her bond which is there. For this to get over, I need to take so many janmas, and the final, this person is going to come as my husband, and that is the time this karma bandhan is going to get over. So she is just preparing like a leela, that the Guru, and demonstrating and telling that in that 7th janma, that is the right time I'm going to tell. But she never tells I'm going to tell you in the 7th janma. She just tells, I will tell you when the time is right. So this Guru is curious, and every janma is trying to follow like a cat or a dog and trying to ask and find out, and she's not telling. And finally, after 2-3 births, he loses interest. He says, forget. He's not ready to tell. She's not ready to tell. And he completely forgets it. Then by the time the 7th janma happens, this whole incident happens, and where she reminds in that forest when with the husband he comes, And she says, go and bring the Pandit, and then I'll tell you that you are my son of my previous birth. And when the Pandit come, there he reminds, do you remember me? This is no. Then she says that incident, and then he suddenly remembered, oh, you are that person. So she knew at that moment the whole karma, and see, the husband falls at the feet and everything, that karma is dissolved. But it took so many janmas. So she indicated it before only, and that time it's going to happen. So it was like a preparation for the whole thing. Yes, and as you said, the entire message is about what we hold on to ourselves, like this is my daughter, this is my son, this is my husband, this is my wife, this is my father, this is my mother, this is my brother, this is my sister, this is my lover, this is my enemy, this is my friend, this is my neighbor. Absolutely, it's false. Today, in these kind of sessions, I can talk about this and say that all your relationships are false. In other sessions, I cannot tell it because we are not ready to hear it. Now we are vibrating at that frequency of the truth, what Laleshwari is trying to. So why we are telling this? This is not to tell that, oh, I know some secret, or I came to know some wisdom, so now let me tell you what. It's not that idea. The idea is, these are the catches. These are our drawbacks. Everywhere we go in spirituality, what pulls us back is our moha, our attachment, our complete over my me and mine. That does not allow one to even eject out of the system of vasana, Vishaya vasanas. So everybody for janmas and janmas are dangling in that only. Spiritually, they're activated, but they're dangling inside that. They're playing in the drama and stuck in that, raising up, falling, raising up, falling. In this only they're stuck. They are not able to move out of that orbit. So when such programs happen, and when you are in that frequency to receive the ultimate truth, and then that thrust of that truth falls upon you, and you get now also I know how many people are listening. Everybody is not going to wake up. Now they'll go to sleep, physical sleep also, that's another thing. But this wisdom also will go to sleep, I know that. This has happened, but nevertheless it will still impact a few of them, of the whole percentage. Maybe even 1, 2, 3 of them, it will impact so deeply that it will give them that thrust. And the whole process, the filter is meant for those few. The whole process is there. It's not that these will not get, the seed has gone in. So even if the Vishaya Vasana is pulled in, sooner or later the seed will grow into a plant, and then it will grow into a tree. A time will come when it is solid. Like we have all been through that journey. We have had, even I have had multiple lifetimes where I'm so stuck in it. Even in this lifetime, there were so many relations I was stuck in, but now you can't. Even if I want, you can't. Even if I want, I can't. That shows that the seed is strengthening. So this whole idea about these sessions, and this is what I perceive. Because this is not my intention. This is not my idea. I'll do this, I'll plan it, and then I'll put this in. No, I'm spontaneously, even right now what I'm saying, I don't know. It's just flowing. So it's I'm connected to the thing, whatever is happening, whatever is doing. So my perception says this is how the divine will also is functioning. Are you getting that?
Yes.
Is it answered?
Yes.
Okay. See you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, Sanjay Tai.
नमस्ते भैया।
Namaste ji.
जब ये सेशन शुरू हुआ ना, तो मुझे जैसा कहानी जैसा लग रहा था।
कहानी?
हाँ, मैं लिंक नहीं कर पा रहा था, और हाफ एन आवर में फिर मैंने इंटरनली क्वेश्चन पूछना शुरू किया कि माँ, व्हाट द लेसन आई हैव टू लर्न, क्या मैसेज मुझे मिलना है। तो मैंने सुनना बंद कर दिया, मैं अवेयरनेस में रहना शुरू, मतलब सुन रहा था, बट आई एम इन एन अवेयरनेस। इसलिए तो मुझे मैसेज जो मिलता है वो ये मिला कि देखो, वैराग्य जब आएगा वो भी तुम्हें करना नहीं आएगा, इसके बाद तुम्हें तो क्या बोलते हैं उसको हिंदी में, मुमुक्षा, डीप इंटेंसिटी टू सी, सीकिंग, क्योंकि माँ भी ना एक समय तक टॉलरेट करती रही। वो टॉलरेट क्या कर रही थी वो तो जानती थी, बट उसने एक बार में छोड़ा, फिर बाहर निकली वो। तो वैराग्य आने के बाद तुम्हें जब डीप इंटेंसिटी वो भी आएगी, तुम्हें करना नहीं है, फिर वो उतर जाएगा।
नहीं,
फिर
इसके
जो
लिए तो ये ज्ञान की भी जरूरत नहीं है, ये तो ऐसे ही हम जानते हैं। ये मुझे बोलो, अभी कितने आध्यात्मिक लोग हैं, उनको भी मालूम है एक दिन तो एक दिन मोक्ष आएगा। ऐसा नहीं
नहीं,
कि उनको पता नहीं।
मतलब इसमें ये है, मेरे को ये समझ में आया कि ऐसा कुछ मैसेज।
ये
बाकी
सही बात है,
वो
ये तो सत्य है, ये तो सत्य है जो आप कह रहे हो, सत्य है। लेकिन मैं उसमें एक पकड़ भी आपको, ड्रॉबैक भी बता रहा हूँ उसके अंदर। क्योंकि हम जब ये ऐसे सोचते भी हैं तो उसके अंदर कहीं कहीं अपना फियर भी छुपा हुआ रहता है, कहीं ना कहीं रहता है, कहीं एक छोटा सा कहीं ये रहता है कि वी आर नॉट रेडी राइट नाउ। तो इनडायरेक्टली, जब ये आप ही नहीं कहे, ऐसे कई लोग पहले भी बता चुके हैं, तो इनडायरेक्टली एक अंदर से एक भाव ऐसा है कि ये सब सुनने को तो बहुत अच्छा लगता है लेकिन थोड़ा डरावना भी लग रहा है। एंड दैट इज बिकॉज द विषय वासना इज स्ट्रॉन्ग। तो उस टाइम पे ऐसा फीलिंग आता है कि ठीक है, मे बी आई एम नॉट रेडी नाउ, बट ये अच्छी बात है, एंड दिस इज अ ट्रुथ, आई लाइक इट, एंड दिस इज कमिंग फ्रॉम द हाईएस्ट ऑर्डर। तो ये सत्य है, तो ये कभी ना कभी ये फलीभूत होगा। तो जब होगा तब देखेंगे। अभी फिलहाल में तो मुझे ये ठीक लग रहा है, आई विल एक्सेप्ट इट एंड आई विल थैंक द डिवाइन कि मुझे ये। लेकिन अंदर से एक भीतर से आवाज ये रहेगा कि जब होगा तब होगा, तब देखेंगे उस चीज को।
मेरे
तो
अब नहीं
ये
होगा। अब मेरे को रजिस्टर ही करना पड़ेगा। मैं जो भी सेशन हो रहा है सब अटेंड कर रहा हूँ, मुझे फ्लो में रहना है। मैं समझ रहा हूँ आपके मैसेज को, बट मैं ऐसा कुछ भी प्रिटेंड नहीं कर रहा हूँ।
आप किए तो भी कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा, और आपने वो प्रिटेंड से, मास से भी निकल के आप सत्य पे भी फॉलो करेंगे तो कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा।
मैं नहीं छोड़ने वाला कोई भी क्योंकि मुझे बस प्रेजेंस में रहना है, वही एक रास्ता है। और
तो
मुझे
इसमें इसमें जैसे हम जाते हैं ना, डीप जाते हैं ना, ये ऐसे बहुत सारी चीजें हैं
अच्छा,
जो
मेरे
अगर
लिए
हम
सबसे
विवेक।
अच्छी बात ये है कि आप मतलब सबका कितना ध्यान रखते हैं। ये सारी बातें सबके लिए नहीं हो सकती। बहुत लोगों के अंदर के बीच, मतलब जो लोग जुड़े हैं ना, वो आप ऐसा वो एनर्जी करा रही है कि जिसके अंदर कुछ भी है, जिससे रिलेटेड है, वो निकल रहा है उससे।
वो तो है,
तो
वो
कितना
फ्रीक्वेंसी,
तैयारी
वो
हो रही
ये
है।
भी एक जमाती ये है, इसको एक जमाती बोलते हैं, क्राउड, ये इसका। बट दिस इज फॉर अ डिफरेंट पर्पस ऑल टुगेदर, इट इज नॉट फॉर दैट अगेन वर्ल्डली पर्पस। इसलिए ये पूरा बनाने का भी, एक ग्रुप बनाने का भी एक यही था। एंड अभी भी डरते हैं लोग इस ग्रुप में आने, क्योंकि उनको वो जमात वाला एटीट्यूड है। अभी भी उनको ऐसा लगता है कि ये हम ये जमात के, हम इस जमात, इसके जमात में क्यों जाए। तो हम इसको दूर से देखेंगे, तो हम यूट्यूब से ही देखेंगे, हम जूम में नहीं आएंगे, हमारा ईगो हर्ट हो जाएगा जूम में आए तो हम वहां जाके दूर से देखेंगे, क्योंकि इसके अंदर कुछ अपना अलग बनता है। क्या पता वहां क्या एजेंडा है और रूम में क्या चल रहा है। कोई मेरा क्या बोलते हैं, स्ट्रॉ डाल के मेरा एनर्जी खींच रहा है क्या, क्या पता वहां पे। क्योंकि ये हमको सिखाया गया है बाहर की दुनिया में कि सावधान रहो, कोई आपकी एनर्जी खींच लेगा, कोई शक कर लेगा, स्ट्रॉ डाल के पी ऐसा पी लेगा, या आपको मोहित करेगा, या आपको हिप्नोसिस करेगा, ये सब चीजें। और मैं ये बोलता हूँ, आप जाने नहीं, आप अभी तक खुद हिप्नोटिक, आप गए हो, यू आर इन हिप्नोटिक स्टेट। और असली हिप्नोसिस वो है जहाँ तुम सोच रहे हो कि सभी है। पूरा संसार का जो हिप्नोसिस और जो अटकाव है, वो हिप्नोटिक ट्रांस है। और जो आपकी हिप्नोटिज्म से छूटने की बात हो रही है, वो आपको वही है, आपको लगता है कि ये तो दुनिया में भी ऐसी ही है, वो एक भय है कि भेड़िया खा जाएगा तुमको वहां पे। और ये कोई नहीं बोलता कि मैं ही भेड़िया हूँ। तो सब उधर ही डरा रहे, उस चीज को डरा, और लोग डरे हुए भी है। और मैं बोलूं, ये डरपोकों का ये नहीं है, ये मार्ग नहीं है। ये दूर से देखने वाले, सांत्वना देने वाले, ये वही है, सेफ जोन होते हैं। तो मुझे ऐसा नहीं, ये नजदीक दूर से देखेंगे क्या होता है, वो होता है ना भीड़ जहाँ पे कुछ
हाँ
इकट्ठा
भैया,
होता है,
एक
क्राउड।
क्वेश्चन ये भी
तो
आया था,
दूर से
अंदर से
कोई
डर।
देखता है उस चीज को, एंड दे आर जस्ट ऑब्जर्विंग, बट दे डोंट वांट टू गेट इनटू। कोई एक्सीडेंट हो गया, कुछ हो गया, तो वो गाड़ी से उतर के देखेंगे, इच्छुक, क्यूरियोसिटी, दूर से देखेंगे, इसके अंदर नहीं जाएंगे, फंस गए तो हमारा इन्वॉल्वमेंट नहीं होना चाहिए। तो नहीं, मैं ये सब क्यों बता रहा हूँ, ये सब अपना ही एक बहरूपिया है। और मुझे ये सब दिखता है, मुझे कोई इंटरेस्ट नहीं है, कोई ये सब खेल रहा है तो करो बोलता हूँ मैं, जैसे तुमको वहां ठीक लगे तो वहां करो। लेकिन मुझे पक्का मालूम है कि जब तक एनवायरनमेंट ऐसी नहीं बनती, तुम्हारा सो कॉल्ड हिप्नोटिज्म नहीं है। इसलिए जब हम अरुणाचला भी बोल रहे हो सब, दीज आर ऑल, वहां कौन हिप्नोटिज्म करेगा? भोलेनाथ के पैरों पे बैठ के कोई हिप्नोटिज्म करेगा आपको? किसी की मजाल है? तो वहां वहां जो जिसको करना है वो करेगा, यहाँ पे भी जिसको करना है वो करेगा। लेकिन जिसको आत्मा के ऊपर विश्वास है अपना, और जिसको वो पथ पे चलने का एक धैर्य है, जो अभी भी ये सब चीजों से, अटकाव से, ये बिलीफ से, कंडीशनिंग से, ये आडंबर, दुनिया भर के आडंबर, इसलिए मैं खोल रहा हूँ ये सब चीजें। भगवान शिव को मानते हो ना आप, तो ये सुनो, ये उनकी वाणी है, तो उनको तो मानो, मुझे मत मानो, मैं उनकी वाणी आपको सुना रहा हूँ। तो वो भी कह रहे हैं कि एक स्थिति के बाद आपको भीतर जाना है। ये सब बाह्य मुखी वाले आडंबर है प्रपंच के, तो आप उसमें फंस के नहीं रह सकते। तो ये भीतर की यात्रा का जो एक एक जो ग्रुप भी है, बोलो, ये जो हम बात भी कर रहे हैं, ये सब वो भीतर इनर जर्नी वाले हैं, उनको और कोई इंटरेस्ट नहीं है। देखो अभी मैं बोल रहा हूँ ना, कल भी मैंने चक्र के बारे में उसके, मैनी आर नॉट इंटरेस्टेड, बिकॉज ऐसा नहीं कि वो कोई फिलोसफी को मानते हैं नहीं मानते हैं, वो निकल चुके हैं उसके अंदर से। नाउ दे आर इंटरेस्टेड ओनली इन सेल्फ। जो रमण तत्व में ना, आप अरुणाचल जाओ, तिरुवണ്ണामलाई जाओ, वहां किसी को भी आप कोई और साधन, आडंबर, वो सब बताओ, जो असली बैठे हैं वहां पे, जो सेल्फ रियलाइजेशन के लिए, जो वेस्टर्नर्स हैं, दे आर नॉट इंटरेस्टेड है। क्योंकि वो रमण तत्व में समझ में आया आत्मा विचार क्या है, एंड स्ट्रेट गोइंग टू। और वो जिसको नहीं जा पाते फिर वो कर सकते, वो सब चीजें ठीक है, और शुद्धिकरण करो वो सब चीज। लेकिन जिसको समझ आ रहा है वो क्यों लौटेगा? वो आएगा ही नहीं। तो ये एक दो ग्रुप का एक भेद है। तो ये ग्रुप को भी समझता हूँ मैं अच्छी तरह से, दूसरे ग्रुप को भी समझता हूँ अच्छी तरह से। तो मैं ऑब्जर्व करता हूँ, ठीक है, जब आपको ठीक लगे, सेफ लगे, तब आप एंटर करो, प्रवेश करो। और प्रवेश यहाँ नहीं बोल रहा हूँ, भीतर प्रवेश करो और देखो उन तत्वों को। तब तक आप दूर से ही देखते रहो, कोई कोई फर्क नहीं है। लेकिन मुझे जो सीरियस करना है, मैं अंदर इसमें ही करूंगा, वो मैं बाहर नहीं करूंगा। ये माँ लालेश्वरी का प्रोग्राम है, मैंने इसको लाइव कर दिया, ठीक है, जिसको देखना है आप देख लो, बस ये सिर्फ यूट्यूब पे, जो भी काफी सारे लोग हैं जिनको लिंक चाहिए था, तो उनके लिए देखा, ठीक है, देखना है देख लो। लेकिन जो एक्चुअल जो प्रैक्टिसेस जो हम ये तत्व कर रहे हैं अभी, माँ लालेश्वरी का चिदाकाश गीता, उपदेश सारम, काल ज्ञान, और जो मेन योग वशिष्ठ के, ये सब जो मेडिटेशन है, ये प्रॉप नहीं है। ये सिंपल अवेयरनेस में जाके सीधे वहां घुसने वाली चीजें हैं। ये सब मैं सिर्फ अंदर ही सिखाऊंगा उस चीज को लेके। मैं सिखाने वालों को नहीं, जो तत्व है, जो हो रहा है वो ऐसे ही होगा, इसकी प्रक्रिया ऐसी होगी। तो यहाँ जिसको वैल्यू है, और जिसको उसके उसका बोध है कि ये कोई ऐसे ही नौटंकी नहीं चल रहा, कोई वो वाला साइकिक वैम्पायर वाला वो ट्रिक्स और नौटंकी वो सब नहीं चल रहा है, दिस इज समथिंग डैम सीरियस, जिसको पता है वो प्रवेश करेगा, जिसको नहीं है वो टाइम पास करते रहेगा दुनिया में जैसे करना है। सो इट्स ऑल फाइन। लेकिन मैं, मेरी ये जिम्मेवारी ये बताने को, अभी आपने एक चीज बताया तो मैंने तुरंत उसको पॉइंट करके बोला, एक तो है कि ठीक है, लिबरेशन है और ये सब चीजें हैं, वैराग्य वगैरह है, जब आना है तब आने दो उस चीज को। मैं बोला वो करेक्ट है, लेकिन उसमें एक सूक्ष्म एक तत्व हो सकता है, अगर हमने पकड़ लिया उसको, तो वहां पे भी मैं स्पेयर नहीं करूंगा कि क्यों वेट करूं उस चीज को लेके। और ऐसा नहीं है ये तत्व कि वैराग्य है और ये जो हमको रिलेशन, ये सब चीजें, ऐसा नहीं है कि ये मेरे जो बोध हो गया तो अभी मैं उठ गया, लाइव ऑफ किया और मैं गया, मैं संबंध तोड़ दिया सबके साथ क्योंकि मैं ज्ञान मिल गया। नहीं होने वाला ऐसा, ऐसा कुछ नहीं होने वाला। ये बहुत सहज रूप से होने वाली चीजें हैं। ये जो सीड आ गई, लेकिन हमको वो बोध रहना जरूरी है। तो ऐसा नहीं कि अभी अभी टाइम है, चलो जब आ गए फिर हम जाके उसके अंदर फिर अब जाओगे उसके अंदर। लेकिन ये अगर बोध रहा फिर भी आप दुनिया में रहे, तो आप धीरे धीरे आप देखोगे, आप अफेक्ट नहीं हो रहे उस चीज से, आप एंटेंगल नहीं हो रहे उस चीज से, निकलते रहे हो। और किसी को बाहर से पता भी नहीं चल रहा आपका भीतर से कैसे गांठ खुल रही है। क्योंकि उनको अगर पता चला, वो ज्यादा प्रॉब्लम देंगे आपको, वो घड़ा जाएंगे उस चीज को, फिर वही आपके साधन में या आपके प्रैक्टिस में अड़चन बनेंगे, खुद अपने ही लवड बंश। तो इसलिए मैं तो कई सेशन में बोलता हूँ कि किसी को मत बताओ आपके भीतर क्या हो, अंदर क्या स्थिति है, अंदर कहाँ तक क्या आ रहा है, क्या एक्सपीरियंस आ रहा है, क्या फील हो रहा है उनके बारे में, चुप। खुद चुप, उनको जैसा है, जैसा दिखता है, जैसा जो भाषा उनको समझ आती है उतना ही समझाओ, जितना उनको करना है उतना समझाओ। इसके अंदर से क्या होता है, आप आराम से निकल सकते हो इसके अंदर से। अगर
हर
आपने प्रकट कर
कम्युनिटी
लिया,
में लोग समझ ही नहीं पाएंगे तो बोलने का
बहुत
कोई
मुश्किल,
मतलब ही नहीं है।
बहुत मुश्किल है, फिर वही चैलेंजेस बन जाएंगे आपके।
मैं बोलने का कोई मतलब ही नहीं। वो
तो
1 घंटे
वही
नहीं
है,
बैठ
माँ
सकते,
ललेश्वरी भी जो
5
बोल रही
मिनट
है
नहीं
वही।
बैठ पाएंगे। उनको भजन चाहिए, उनको गाना चाहिए, उनको
करने दो,
गाने
उनकी
चाहिए।
उनकी स्थिति के हिसाब से ठीक है, वो भी गलत नहीं है। उन बेचारे
हाँ,
देखो, उनका उनको वो समझ आती है, उनको उनको अच्छा लगता है, करने दो। तो आप करो, लेकिन मुझे उसकी करने की जरूरत नहीं, वो मुझे मालूम, लेकिन उनको मालूम नहीं है कि आपको करने की जरूरत नहीं है, तो वो आपको प्रेरित करने की कोशिश करेंगे।
हम्म,
तो वो चैलेंजेस की बात कर रहा हूँ। तो वो आप
बहाने
कितने
बहाने
नैक
देने
से
पड़ते हैं
संभालते
उनको।
हो, नहीं कितने नैक से संभालते हो, वो है बड़ी। अभी देखो माँ ललेश्वरी बड़े नैक से संभाला, 12 साल की आयु से लेके 25 साल की आयु तक वो पति और उस मदर इन लॉ के साथ रही। वो नैक नहीं है, उसको सब पता है, और किसी के साथ विरोध नहीं। पत्थर डाल के दिए तो पत्थर धो के रखती थी, चलो आप धो के दे दो कल भी। तो वो नैक है। तो
डेडिकेशन
वो सब लेसन है हमारे लिए कि दुनिया में कैसा रहना चाहिए। ऐसा नहीं कि ये हो गया तो देखा, अभी उसकी मटकी फूटी, पानी नहीं फूटा, पानी गिरा नहीं, उधर तक उसकी पावर थी। उनको पता नहीं है, अवेयरनेस नहीं होगी उनको कितनी पावर से क्या है, सब पता है, लेकिन उनको डेमोन्स्ट्रेट करने का नहीं है, किसी को कुछ बताना नहीं है। कोई अगर उनको गाली दे रहे तो वो मदर इन लॉ को अंदर से वो ऐसे देख भी नहीं रहे कि आपको पता नहीं मैं कौन हूं। वो बोल रहे हैं सताओ, मेरा प्रारब्ध है, मैं। दैट इज समथिंग दैट वी कैन लर्न। ये सब गृहस्थ वाले की ही कहानी है। ठीक है जी। ओके, दिस साइड आई थिंक देयर आर सम। ज्योति प्रताप, नमस्कार भैया, आई हियर past story from you many times, and it's interesting and deep healing taking place. Thanks for all your guidance and blessings, sharing from the Guru and Guru Mandal. Stay blessed. Yes. Always be grateful to the Guru and Guru Mandal, because उनकी कृपा से ही even ये समझ आती है. Again, not the physical body, गुरु तत्व से. So until मुझे ये रिमाइंड करना पड़ता है, when I say Shiva also, immediately आपका उधर ही जाएगा. Yeah. तो it's not about that. इट्स अबाउट द एसेंस. वो बार बार हमको लेके आना पड़ता है, हर एक चीज जो भी तत्व से आपका, तत्व कॉन्शियसनेस, नॉट द फॉर्म, नॉट द बॉडी. ये जब तक ये नहीं करेंगे आप नहीं जाओगे, नहीं तो फिर वो अटका हुआ है उस हिसाब से. To me, coming across Jacob ji is getting the right coaching when preparing for a test. Will not say a competition. So many doubts have been cleared. Divine blessing. That's good, ji. If it is helping you, it's all fine. You call it Jacob G, you call it this G, that G, all the kind of G's which is there. They will all come, they will all disappear like air bubbles. One day they will come and will go. So you be very much concerned about activating, because you don't know when who comes, when who goes. We never know. Nobody is forever here. Everybody has their limitation in the physical world. So it is always better to catch the tattva, what we are trying to say, and get independent. So the independent means the inner guru activation. That program is there on 28th May. और एक advertisement कर रहा हूँ. 28th May को अपो दीपो भव. That's what we are trying to say. Ignite the inner light. That inner light and inner guidance, inner viveka, inner guru. So it's not that you're discarding, ditching your inner. That guru's tattva only is within you. So people will say, oh no. And I'm not asking to separate, because I'm not separate from my guru. It's all one on a very conscious level. So you'll never feel me talking and praising and all those things. पहले था एक जमाने में, बहुत गुण गाया, प्रेज किया, वो सब, but that's not going to help after some time. ये सब निकल जाता है धीरे धीरे. So when it goes, सहज रूप से जा रहा है, जाने, ये कोई प्लान करके नहीं कर रहा है. So I'm just educating everybody about the journey of life. ये नेचुरली स्वाभाविक आने वाला है ऐसे सब चीजें, तो आपको घबराने की जरूरत नहीं है. ये अच्छा ही होता है. और अगर आपको मैं झूठ बोल रहा हूँ लगे तो लगे, माँ ललेश्वरी तो झूठ नहीं बोलेंगी, भगवान शिव तो झूठ नहीं बोलेंगे, रमणा तो झूठ नहीं बोलेंगे. इन तत्वों को तो पकड़ो. ये वशिष्ठ महामुनि तो नहीं बोलेंगे, भगवान राम तो झूठ नहीं बोलेंगे. ये सब वही तत्व है. तो उन सब चीजों को देख के आप यू कैच इट फ्रॉम दैट. आई थिंक वी आर late. Today it's going to be 1. It's a very interesting topic. It's a very powerful, deep, powerful topic. So it's not going to end. It's only going to continue, where I'll be talking more about the tattvas of Laleshwari. There is a lot because of time, this and all that. And now we have one more component: Upadesha Saram, Kala Jnana, and Vashishta, Yoga Vashishta, and then we have Laleshwari. There's all the same elements jumbled. Example, and Chidakasha. All let's see how much can come into. All will talk same language. So with this, I take your leave. Much divine love and light to all of you. May we all be blessed. May we all be free. Hridev Sharana, Mandal Sharana. Eternal gratitude, presence of Laleshwari. However she feels best, however the consciousness of Mother feels best, let it be guided. So be it. So be it. So be it. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purna Purnamadayachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.